A very good evening, everybody. Nice to have you company wherever you're tuning in all around Australia or indeed the world of the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. And welcome to Thursday Night Motorsport for what is, where are we up to? Week 5 of the season. My goodness gracious me, halfway mark. 5 down, 5 to go after tonight. And that's pretty much across the board with everything that we've got on the agenda for the course of this season, except Friday Night Motorsport, of course, which is not broadcast. We've also had the first round of the GSRC Endurance Championship for the GT3s and the hypercars in the previous few days as well for the second half of the calendar year, the semester rather than the term. But first up tonight, as we turn our attention to Thursday Night Motorsport for the second time in August, it is the Circuit de Magny-Cours that is the venue, and is the Aston Martins that are the car of choice. It is the production car series, the fifth and final car in rotation here before we go back through the cycle once more. 2 races on the agenda. First one will be 15 minutes, second one 25. And looking forward to this one immensely. Not a huge field tonight, but we're hoping it's more a case of quality over quantity, much like last week actually, and it certainly was there when we brought you the TCRs from Aragon. I'm Zach Caban. Daniel's here with me as well. Good to have him on board. Third time that we've been able to team up here on a Thursday night. So you can see the track and weather conditions there. 10 o'clock in the morning, 19 degrees the ambient, 23 on track, August 9, 2023. And it's a 4.41 kilometre circuit, most, of course, synonymous with the French Formula One Grand Prix between, I think it was 1991 and 1998, or 2008 rather. And since the French Grand Prix returned to the calendar and now disappeared again, it has been over at Paul Ricard. But this venue has, of course, also hosted World Grand Prix motorcycle racing and World Superbike racing over the years. Tonight, it's hosting GSRC production cars. It is one of the newer circuits on the GSRC server. We're getting ready to rock and roll. Race 1, cars lining up on the grid now. We'll bring you some shots from the main straight in just a moment. Chris Whittaker and Adam Lavis, the front row. Sam Chapman and Paul Wood, the second row. Anthony Adshead, Kurt Chapman, the third. Aidan Schultz, Greg Padgett, the fourth. Lee Robertson, Josh Zuno in race control, I do believe. So I don't think we'll be seeing them on the grid. So it is a depleted field. It is somewhat disappointing. But that's okay. The club will go back to the drawing board for the next season, the next term of racing, and see what they do on a Thursday night to reinvigorate the interest once more. So, I don't know what Chris Whittaker's doing here, running a tribute to Tony Quinn potentially on the front row there in the Aston Martin with the VIP Pet Foods entry. The livery there, very nice. And, of course, you can see Paul Wood on the grid there on the inside, the outside, inside, whatever you want to call it, of the second row. So this is one of those random circuits where pole is actually on the outside for turn 1, not the inside, but it's more a case of setting them up for turn 2 here, which is to the inside. Daniel, good evening to you. Welcome. Let's hope that these guys, for what they lack in size for the grid per se, make up for it with some spectacular racing, much similar to what we saw last week. But this is a new car for these guys in this series.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, there's only about 9 cars on track, but I reckon that'll just mean they can push harder. They won't have to worry about trying to be nice. Just go out there, give it 110%, and hopefully we'll get some absolute banger racing. Magny-Cours, fantastic track, like you were alluding to before, was the home of the French Grand Prix until, of course, Paul Ricard took over in the later years. But yeah, the last section is always great to see, but I'll kick it over to you for the start.
Getting set for start. Thursday Night Motorsport on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Let's go! And don't forget, after this, we head to Road America for 60 minutes of Porsche racing. So looking forward to that. But Chris Whittaker's started beautifully on the run of turn 1. Paul Wood not so beautiful. He's clipped the outside of the ripple strip there, the AstroTurf, and dropped down to 8th place, last in the field. He's dropped out a shot. He's right there behind Greg Padgett and already playing catch-up. So 2 things here. First point of interest is that we've got Sam Chapman already displacing Adam Lavis. Anthony Adshead's jumped up 1, so too Kurt Chapman, Aidan Schultz and Greg Padgett. Chris Whittaker has bolted to a half a second advantage, and Paul Wood brings up the field. But for the first time this season, because we've only got 8, we will have a full inverter at this grid for race 2. A full inverter, full reverse grid. And for Chris Whittaker, it's looking like he'll be drawing P8 at the moment. for that. No Brendan Whittaker tonight. That's important to note. Ben Wood's noting that he can't be there tonight, which is unfortunate. But we've made mention over the last couple of weeks, and I'm certainly an example of that. We're getting busier as a society, so we're not always as freely available as we once were in previous GSRC seasons. And, that's a fair reflection of that. Big weekend coming up, of course. There's a lot of interest in what's going on at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway with a couple of Kiwis and Aussies featuring in both IndyCar and NASCAR. Whoa, look at Kurt Chapman struggling to hang on to it through the ripple strips, through the kink there, the chicane on the way to the main straight. Down to turn one they come. Chapman's been passed by Aidan Schultz. Now, actually, Schultzy reached out to me after last week's broadcast and said we had an absolute shocker. And that was already, of course, well known for those that saw it on the broadcast. But the reason for it was not a driver error. It was more so a mechanical failure, a structural failure at his end. Now, I had the message come through to him last week. Yeah, just letting you know, my steering wheel came off the rig in the 86. He was driving with it in his lap the whole second race. That's why we saw him getting involved in far too many incidents for the sake of it. That's not his style. That's not the way he operates. I mean, he copped the penalty from race control. In fact, to his credit, Daniel, he actually dobbed himself into race control last week, which many drivers wouldn't actually bother doing.
Well, it just sounds like his DAS system failed.
Yes.
That's what it sounds like. It's not supposed to come off completely.
No, not at all. It was a little random. So Anthony Adshead sitting there in fourth place at the moment, chasing Adam Lavis. Anthony had a good run last week. Brett's right on board with him now. And hear the Aston at work. One thing we know about this circuit is that you will work hard for track position and territory, because overtaking opportunities, it's a narrow racetrack. Overtaking opportunities do not come easy here. They're not gifted to you. In some cases, you're waiting for driver error, but a lot of the moves that we will see will be a big send thrown down the inside at the end of this back straight, down into the hairpin. And then maybe that last sequence of corners, that right-hander that brings them around towards pit entry, and that chicane that brings them back onto the main straight. There aren't too many that stand out beyond that. Lavis has been able to keep Bad Ted at bay for the moment. 1:33.84, the fastest time so far for Chris Whittaker. That makes the numbers relatively easy to do here. 15 minutes, 10 laps, provided that we don't have a safety car or anything untoward in that meantime. It's going to be real fun trying to calculate laps, etc. once the rain model gets thrown into the mix. My goodness.
Oh man, yeah.
I'm not looking forward to that.
It's going to be an interesting development for the game, because for the sim.
100%.
I think I might have insulted some people there. For the sim, because everyone is so ingrained in the dry racing, because that's all there's been. And so now you've got people who think a certain way for tracks and a certain car combination, and they're going to have to really, really focus and relearn because they've just never had that experience. Now, if you're playing another sim with a rain model, you might have a bit of a head start, but as everybody knows, the iRacing tyre model is different to everyone else's tyre model. So essentially everyone's going to be starting on an absolutely fresh sheet of paper.
Absolutely. Josh Zuno saying you've got a few years to practice. Yeah, exactly right. We'll be waiting a while. Calculating laps before the rain arrives. Yeah, exactly. They've taken their sweet time with it. Time stands still for no one except iRacing, apparently. And actually, that is a double entendre, because we know that there are servers that you can set up where the time is frozen. Chris Whittaker, Sam Chapman, Adam Lavis, Anthony Adshead and Aidan Schultz, top five here. Here's Chapman hard at work on the rear of Schultz right now. That's the battle we're following on screen. Paul Wood in behind has got past Greg Padgett and has moved up to 7th. And Padgett's well down the order, 5-6 seconds down the road at the moment. Chapman, big send down there, and went a little bit too wide through the left-hander. And that's gifted Schultz a little bit of time, a little bit of breathing space here.
Yeah, well done not to hit the back of Schultz. I just saw him cooking it right down into the corner, and then luckily he had his head on straight, moved over to the right as to not hit the car in front. And it cost him some time, but almost immediately he's gotten back to the 0.3 mark. So it really wasn't that big of a deal in the long run. So really
Round
good
they
job.
come. Onto the main straight. Chapman all over the back of Schultz. You're right, Daniel. Good job indeed from Chapman to claw back that territory, that buffer that he lost a moment ago. Schultz hasn't been able to make the most of it, but what he has been able to do is drive defensively enough to keep Chapman at bay. He hasn't given him an opportunity to find his way through, and that could have also contributed to Chapman being forced into an error there. Over at the left-hander, up the outside he goes now with a big send this time. Now, is it deep enough or too deep? Nope, again Schultz keeps him at bay. Very nicely done. Schultz will make that car as wide as humanly possible to make the task as difficult as he can for Chapman here and now. And they've got to be mindful, though, because you can see Paul Wood lurking in the shadows as well. He's clawed back what he lost through his mistake on the opening lap.
Yeah, that's right. And the other thing, too, is that corner which they've done that, where Sam tried to go up on the outside, it's not that it isn't possible, but because of the angle of that, it's essentially a hairpin. Because of that angle, the inside car has absolutely all of the control. And so if the inside car doesn't go deep as well, then they're just going to be able to park it right on that apex, block off the attack, and then the car on the outside will have no choice but to wait for the inside car to make it through before they can attack. Oh, Paul Wood inching closer there. Yeah, lucky not to hit the back of Chapman.
If I was Kurt Chapman, I'd be a little bit worried about the presence of Paul Wood at the moment. He'll be looking to set one up going into the Melbourne hairpin this time by. Through they go. Round the right-hander. And down the back straight. Paul Wood sitting right there. Not close enough. Not within striking distance of Chapman at the moment, but Chapman's also lost ground to Schultz. So it is the closest battle on the racetrack. A three-way fight at that. But no one looking to send any moves down the inside or outside at this point in time. We're halfway through this one. We're on lap 6 of 10.
Yeah, the gaps have really blown out there. Whittaker well and truly ahead at the front. 5, almost 6 seconds the lead to Lavis in P2. That's had 1 second behind him. That's Sam Chapman there in P4, the closest on track at the moment, within 1 second of the car ahead. Wood on your screen now is also floating within that gap to Kurt. But this is unfortunately one of the side effects of having a lower grid, which is if everybody's actually on their game, then all the gaps blow out.
Well, not only do the gaps blow out, but it can make it very hard for anyone further back in the pack to move their way forward, especially in a one-make formula. If you're evenly matched... Oh, Paul Wood's had another off. He's got it loose through the chicane there, coming back onto the main straight. It is tight. And unfortunately... Jeez, here we go. Life didn't get me on the rig in time. Enjoying watching what I'm missing. Hello to you, Dale Sharp. Nice to have you on board, mate. Yeah, unfortunately, some people get home, from work later than others. Sporadically, you sometimes life gets in the way, as we know. Whether it's social or the stuff that pays the bills. Getting home on time is a nice reality for some, but a very rare occurrence for others. Sometimes it just, doesn't happen. And I know that because my work schedule varies week in, week out. So finding that delicate balance between life and work and leisure does not necessarily happen. And more to the point, you're some days you're in the office a little bit longer than others. You've got no clear-cut, what's the word I'm looking for? Always time for the Porkersdale. Yeah, exactly right, Josh Zuno. Well done. I'm sure he'll be lining up as we speak. Practice will be getting underway at Road America very shortly. But sometimes you just don't get a say. And when you get to leave the building, yes, the hours are, there as some sort of an indication of the minimum you're going to be on deck. But sometimes you're a little bit late out the door. My mum is a prime example of that whenever she's working, fair dinkum. Sam Chapman at the moment on screen, 4th place, 1 down on where he started. Anthony Adshead up 2, Aidan Schultz up 2, Paul Wood down 3. They're the only movers thus far. Whittaker, Lavis, Chapman and Padgett remain where they started. That's the top 8 for you on screen there on the left-hand side on the totem pole. Yes, Dale's highlighting that he doesn't necessarily get along well with the Porsches. He's more a BMW guy. We'll see him again on Monday night, no doubt. Hopefully we'll get a better field for the Porsches when we get to Road America. We're on lap 8 of 10 here at Magny Core. Race 1 of the Aston Martins as part of round 5 of the production car series. And so far, so good. Does anyone... old man Josh had to throw 7M3 of gravel around the body, wouldn't let me sit in the chair even if I wanted to. I must say, mate.
There goes
no, round. Dear, oh dear, that's Anthony Adshead. And all that hard work to jump up 2 spots has been brought undone. A simple mistake, which brought me back to the point that I was going to make before we got talking about work-life balance and all that crap. Have a look at this. Anthony Adshead's just lost the rear end going into the tight right-hander through the back section of the circuit in the start of the 3rd sector there. It's unfortunate for Adshead. Thankfully, there's only so far you can drop back in an 8-car field, and he'll look to regroup in race 2. Unfortunately, the mistakes come late enough in race 1 that the damage is done. He'll do very well to claw it, the balance back from there. He pays the price for that, there's no doubt. Now, that kind of brings me back to the point. When the field is set, like the grid set from the field qualifying session and the outright lap times, it can be very hard unless a driver makes a mistake, unless they botch the start, for everybody to move their way forward, because the field is set on pace. And if you don't have that pace, the only exception is if you botch qualifying and you're trying to work your way through the field. And because this car is new to a lot of these drivers, some of them had a run in it, some haven't. That's why the field is so evenly spread out. Different levels of experience, different levels of pace. And yeah, it's one of those, it's a stinker in terms of there's not really anything to talk about at the moment except to call the cars home. Next time by the line, white flag out, here comes Chris Whittaker into the main straight to take the white flag and make his way home. 1 lap to go. On we go. Barney's actually doing his job. Good boy. Welcome aboard. Thanks for giving up some of your time on a Thursday night. We appreciate it. 3/4 of a minute to go. This is a clinical performance from Chris Whittaker. We haven't seen much of him on screen here, and with good reason, because he's kept his nose clean. He stayed out of trouble. He's just gone about his business, and he's going to be rewarded with a victory in excess of 9 seconds. So not only did he had a similar win in terms of the margin last week in the opening race at TCR, but that was after a late race mistake from the driver that was chasing him all the way through the field there. So and all the way through that 7 or 8 laps around the Motorland Aragon circuit. So that's even without the pressure of someone chasing him tonight, Chris Whittaker's just put his nose down, head down, bum up, and got forward and got on with it. And it's looking like a very clinical victory here. The challenge now comes in this reverse grid race because, as we've already seen, overtaking's difficult. You got to rely on mistakes. You got to get a little bit clever with your strategy play. There will be a splash and dash here required to get home. So tactics will come into it, a little bit of gamesmanship. But in the meantime, Chris Whittaker's going for yet another W in the column here. This time at Magny Core, this time in the Aston Martin. The number 1's looking good on that car at the moment. Last turn, checkered flag. The defending champion strikes again. CW wins race 1 at Magny Core. Well done. Adam Lavis second, Sam Chapman third, Aidan Schultz fourth, Paul Wood, Anthony Adshead will rue what might have been. Kurt Chapman will as well, down there in seventh, and Greg Padgett in eighth. Whoa, lock up from Kurt Chapman going into the final corner, and Aidan Schultz was off the road just going across the finish line as well. I think he might have slid across the finish line. Did Schultz? He had an off-track alert just as the checkered flag was waving. Thankfully for Adshead and Chapman, who both locked it up into the final, or the third last corner there. No harm done, no damage done. Jody Baldwin, work gets in the way of all the good race car track combos. That might actually, that could be Joe or John Baldwin, actually. We don't have a Jody Baldwin on track in the club, but the YouTube channel would suggest that, yes, one of the Baldwins is tuning in. I'm not sure whether it's east or west, but I'm assuming because it's work and it gets in the way of all the good race car track combos, it would be our friend over across the other side of the Nullarbor, because at the end of the day, there is that 2-hour time lapse at the moment. It's about to be 3, may as well be 300. And Chris Whittaker, Adam Lavis, Sam Chapman, Aidan Schultz, Paul Wood, Anthony Adshead, Kurt Chapman, and Greg Padgett, the 8 finishes there in that race. So they all started, they all came home. That's good to see. Daniel, just going back to what you were saying, mate. Yeah, it's challenging, isn't it? G'day, Joe. Nice to have you on board, mate. Thank you. I knew as soon as I saw the name Jody, I was like, hang on. I know Joe, I know John, but there you go. You got 2 J Baldwins. So there you go. Very nicely done. The thing about the thing about One Make Racing, Josh Zudo, that's just a little bit too close to the line of comedy for you. Thank you. The thing about One Make Racing is you either get the knack for it or you don't. And in a field of that size, there's a fair discrepancy between the top end of town and the bottom end of town. So again, you've got to rely on someone to slip up. You've got to rely on someone to have a shocker. For anyone to benefit from that. And in that race just now, Aidan Schultz picked up 3 spots, and all the guys behind him ran into trouble at some point. So I think that speaks volumes for the sort of show that we're in for here. But the interesting thing for mine, like not to try and polish a turd, so to speak, but the reality of the situation is that was not the best race we've ever seen in the production cars. You've got to take the bad ones to appreciate the good ones. We can only hope that this reverse grid race will spice things up. It has a habit of doing so, and the cars are about to join us on the grid once more.
Yeah, if anything, it'll mean at least that we'll see Chris Whittaker have to work his way through the entire field. So there'll be action of some sort. The question is, how long will we have it? I'm sure the guys ahead will give him a run for his money. They won't make this easy. But anyway, yet to be seen.
All right, there's the grid for you, ladies and gentlemen. Ready to rock and roll. Greg Padgett and Kurt Chapman, Anthony Adshead, Paul Wood, Aidan Schultz, Sam Chapman, Adam Lavis, and Chris Whittaker. Front row left vacant because neither Zuno or Roberts are, of course, on the grid here. And so that doesn't impact the grid per se. The boys are having a bit too much fun with the comments now. But yes, no Zuno, no Roberts, but front row left vacant. That's the only shortfall of the iRacing invert system, obviously, in this instance where we've got a field of less than 10. But we're ready to rock and roll. Nonetheless, yeah, I think it showed very quickly there that if there's a pace discrepancy between first and last, the field can spread very quickly. We don't normally see that in this caper. Ready for the restart. This is race 2 of round 5 of the production cars from Magny Court. Let's go. Great start from Kurt Chapman. Brass up the inside of Greg Padgett. And in fact, Greg's trying his best to stay out of the road there as they all come charging down on the inside. Adshead and Paul Wood have both capitalised on that. Wide through the right-hander there was Sam Chapman. He's got Adam Lavis up. He's inside. Greg Padgett makes way as they all blast through. Now, Chris Whittaker and Adam Lavis. One goes left, the other goes behind. They've ganged up on Sam Chapman. Whoa! Contact! Paul Wood locked up. Sam Chapman also, unfortunately, blowing a lot of smoke there. And Greg Padgett kicking up a little bit of dust. Adam Lavis is 7th. Sam Chapman is 6th. Aidan Schultz 5th. And Chris Whittaker said, thank you very much. And he's up to 4th already from 8th on the grid. Paul Wood is there. Oh, Paul Wood's run wide. Paul Wood's run wide. Chris Whittaker's gone with him as well. Whittaker will get down on the inside. Or is that? No, that was Aiden Schultz. My apologies. Whittaker's already got by Schultz. So Paul Wood moved a little bit too far out to the right-hand side there at the left-hander for the second time tonight, and that's allowed Chris Whittaker through to third. Next target, Kurt Chapman and Anthony Adshead. And already, we've seen most of the damage done on the opening lap. As far as the overtaking is concerned, Chris Whittaker's made light work of that. He's actually made a mug of the statement that I made earlier about working hard for your overtaking opportunities. A rocket ship of a start, and then obviously a couple of mistakes have helped him out immensely.
So Chapman just coming into the pits there. That'll be to do with the earlier contact between himself and Adam Lavis in that first lap. And here's Chris Whittaker in P3, and like you said, he is absolutely stormed through this field. We're at lap 2. There was one lap and he went from 10th to 3rd.
Yep. We've seen more overtaking opportunities in this race than we saw in the entire first race. Not all of them have been by virtue of mistakes. Down the inside, Chris Whittaker's up into P2 already. And Kurt Chapman just gives him as much room as possible.
You can put a barn in that
Let
gap.
him on by cleanly. Yeah, exactly. You can put the Great Wall of Bloody China in there.
Yeah, I think yeah.
2.5 minutes gone already. So just like what we saw last week, there'll be another 6 laps on top of the race 1 distance and the pit stop as well. So wide there through the left-hander was Kurt Chapman, and Aiden Schultz is all over him like a cheap suit. Paul Wood there, then Adam Lavis. So Greg Padgett, the big loser and all that, and Sam Chapman's already completed his splash and dash. So Chapman's out of sequence. Chapman's thinking tactically. Get out, get some clear air, get some good lap times, and pounce, swoop on these guys while they're in pit lane. Adds at the leader, 2.1 to Chris Whittaker. How long will it take Whittaker to gobble that up, round onto the main straight, 2 laps gone? Aiden Schultz all over Kurt Chapman like a cheap suit. Adam Lavis struggling to move his way forward at the moment. Greg Padgett, see, most of the overtaking was done by virtue of the fact that Greg Padgett did his best to say, look boys, I'm here to make up the numbers. I'm not going to hold you up. I know I'm a little bit slower than you in this caper. So that was very gentlemanly behaviour from Greg Padgett, and we applaud that in this club. Top speeds of these guys around about that 255 to 265 kilometre an hour mark, and Chris Whittaker.
Big dive!
Anthony Adshead, Aiden Schultz with a big dive, and it's a little bit too deep, I would have thought.
It is.
Rocked it up, and yep. Well done, ambitious, and you've got to be. It's one of, again, so that's the other point that we should make. Again, this circuit, it doesn't lend itself to great overtaking opportunities. It doesn't lend itself to great racing in these type of cars. And also, obviously, when you've only got 8, that doesn't help matters either. If it was Formula V, they'd all still be bunched up, or a Hyundai XL for that matter. But this is the point. Because of the fact that the track is notoriously tight and difficult for overtaking, you've got to totally commit to any overtaking opportunity you want to execute. So if you make it, great. But if you break it because you've gone too deep, or you muck it up and you concede the spot again, then all the hard work there is still to do. Round on the main straight. Schultz has got a better run that time round. Chapman bobbled a little bit across the ripple strips. Down to turn 1. Schultz is right there. Schultz will be having another crack this time. Down at the hairpin.
It was like I was saying before, at Adelaide Corner, the car on the inside gets all the control unless they also brake deep. In which case, the outside car, if they can pull up just a little bit more, they'll go on, do the switchback there, cut on the inside. And it'll this time around, Aiden Schultz decides not to go deep, and he'll just fall in line. He still has about 20 minutes of the race to go, so there is no rush. Everyone's still going to do their pit stops, bar Sam Chapman, who did his early on. But Schultz will be rethinking that type of move again, because I don't think the tyres can take that much punishment.
Now, Thursday night football updates I'll be bringing you throughout the course tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Just the one game tonight. Good move there on the inside.
Oh, no!
Turn! Chapman's got into the side of him. Oh, my goodness me.
I think There was a bit of net code there.
We'll have a look. We'll have a look. Second week in a row that we see Schulte involved in the drama. This time he's the recipient, not the one dishing it out. And let's have a look at this again. Schultz saw an opportunity here to get down the inside.
Yeah, look at that.
Oh, yeah, there's massive amounts of net code.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
You could fit a CD player between the two cars.
Definitely good.
Oh, and I'm not talking a Walkman. I'm meaning the old school bloody big setups, stereo setups that you'd have in your house or your shed or your outdoor entertainment area. Oh my goodness me. Netcode. Still playing a part in iRacing in 2023. First try of the night for the Penrith Panthers against the Manly Seagulls. It's 4-0. So we'll keep you updated with that throughout the course of the night. Andrew McGrath having a laugh as he tunes in. Good to have you on board, mate. We're 7 minutes into the 25-minute race. This is week 5. By the end of this, halfway through the season, if you can believe that, my goodness me. And we couldn't do it without our great supporters and sponsors. So keep an eye on their logos. Scrolling across in the slideshow at the top of your screen there. In the sponsor banner. Chris Whittaker has made light work of tracking Anthony Adshead down. It was 2 seconds 3 laps ago. It's now half a second. And Adshead will need to keep a clear head here and not let the pressure get to him. And that's the thing. So that's the other thing as well. So obviously we're riding on board with Chris Whittaker. Consummate professional he's been so far in this series. Couple of little moments along the way, and by his own admission, he has had a couple of moments where the talent pool has just dropped out from under him. He's just properly cocked up. But in saying that, as we have a look at him following Adshead through, he is the clubhouse leader. He's the effective championship leader out there at the moment in the absence of his brother Brendan. He's following part of the family, part of the furniture there at Team Whittaker and Anthony Adshead at the moment. And you're going to see here the work that has to be done with regards to overtaking opportunities. And I think we've seen it a couple of times already tonight, Daniel, and correct me if I'm reading this wrong, but the pressure that the driver wanting to perform the overtaking manoeuvre, that's a bit impatient from CW, actually. I'm just going to pull up there. That's just a little bit impatient giving the headlight flick this early in the piece on Anthony Adshead. I don't think he needs to worry about that just now, but there'll be some gamesmanship involved in those tactics, no doubt. But the reality of the situation is that normally we talk about the pressure of being the driver defending your position. But something to be said here because of what I've said earlier about the tight nature of the narrow nature of the racetrack and also the lack of overtaking opportunities, the pressure of the attacking driver would feel trying to execute those overtaking opportunities. And as we've already seen tonight, there's a very fine line between making it work and making it not work. Grant Gill correctly pointing out, yes, brothers-in-law, but I think it's is it Brendan and Anthony that's where the brother-in-law is it that side of the family that comes from, as in what I'm saying is Brendan's other half. So I think that's the case. But anyway, going back to the point, yeah, have a look at this now. CW is right there, all over Adshead like a cheap suit, getting ready to set it up. 10 minutes gone in for a 25-minute race. We're on lap 7. We should track down. Oh, no, it is. No, Lance is correcting me. It is Chris and Anthony that are brothers-in-law. Thank you, guys. Thank you. It's easy to get confused because there are that many bloody Whittakers in this club, both with 1 and 2 T's, respectively. And hello to Matt Whittaker, the one with 1 T, if he's tuning in as well. So we're watching Chris at the moment try and set up this overtaking opportunity on Anthony. What we should point out here is that, yes, the driver looking to execute the overtaking opportunity feels the pressure in this situation because you've got to commit to it. You've got to make it count. You've got to make it work. You've got to execute it when you get the opportunity to do so. Otherwise, it's another 1 or 2 laps before you get that chance again. If you make a mistake, that is. If you lock it up, if you send it too far, if you concede the up and under on the exit of the corner. So be very mindful of that as they come round onto the main straight once more. The end of lap 7. Oh, geez, he's sideways there. Whittaker is sending it big time onto the main straight. They are having a lot of fun here, Anthony and Chris. 133.292. CW has punched out the fastest number of the race. They're still punching out 33s, and they're still pulling away from the rest of the field in the process. They are 12 seconds to the good on third place, Kurt Chapman, then Aidan Schultz. Paul Wood's into pit lane right now. Sam Chapman's already been there, so too Adam Lavis. They're all topped up, ready to go to the checkered flag. So 3 down, 5 to go as far as pit stops are concerned. But yeah, be very mindful. No, let's not even go there, Grant. Maybe we have class racing, the Clio and the Aston. Oh dear. So yeah, pressure's a funny thing in motorsport, and it works both ways. Both the attack and the defence feel it at times. It's just Lad's head has locked it up that time around. See, now in that instance, it's a rare mistake from the race leader. He slipped up and let Chris through. Maybe that was tactical, maybe not. In fact, look, let's be perfectly honest. Family aren't going to do you any favours. I wouldn't have thought. So that looked like a straight up mistake from Adset. I'm happy to be corrected at the end of the race by Chris when he joins us for a chat here. And that's the thing as well. And so you would have seen already tonight a couple of drivers sending it, trying to get the urgency to get the overtaking opportunity done. Send it a little bit too deep and not get it right. And that's pressure. That's what we're talking about. You just go one little...
Oh, my!
Oh, Aidan Schultz proving the point. Rocked it up, sent it too deep. Loses a bunch of time.
How he missed Kurt there.
It's so hard to overtake on this circuit, and they're proving it tonight.
Just a tale of two cities. So before Kurt Chapman gets a little bit of a tap, you can, like you said, you can fit one of those massive CD players. Netcode plays the thing. Schultz, I think you could barely fit a playing card between those two then. Somehow doesn't take out Kurt Chapman. That's all happening tonight.
It certainly is. Even with an 8-car field, I mean, we are doing a fair bit of padding here, ladies and gentlemen, because there are no active battles on the racetrack now. Yeah, that's a fair point from Grant Gill as well. Would the caddy have been better attended? There's Adam Lavis having a spin. So that's the other thing as well. Just straight up driver error with regards to, the rear end going out from under you, either under brakes or through the corner, being a little bit too friendly on the accelerator. So there are a vast number of reasons why this race has panned out the way that it has thus far. Whittaker's coming through again to complete lap 9, start lap 10. We think we're going 16 laps here, ladies and gentlemen, in this race. As they make their way around. Fading light at Magny Core. Can we just have a look at the clock and the track conditions, Daniel? Where are we at the moment? You're right, mate.
There it is.
So we're at, look at that. We're at 8:46 in the evening. Clock moving twice as fast as it would in the real world. Shut up, Grant. 20 degrees, the ambient, 21 on track. And look at it, it's still daylight. I love the French. Fantastic. Magnificent. Daylight saving. What a progressive and civilized concept that is. And a beautiful European summer night, long into the evening, that long twilight. Up here by that point, they've already lit the candles and put the batteries in the torches, and yeah, it's just really sad. Same can be said for WA, actually. Anyway, so 15 and a quarter minutes gone here, and Chris Whittaker the leader, and he's the leader to the tune of 3 seconds now. It happens very quickly. It balloons out, it blows out. Aidan Schultz is chasing Kurt Chapman. That's the only active battle on the racetrack at the moment. Got to be careful. We've already seen it tonight, how quickly it can come unstuck. Pressure's a funny thing in this game. Schultz goes through the right-hander, follows Chapman. Can he do something strategically on pit road? And, leapfrog. Chapman here. We haven't seen too much of that tonight in the way of pit strategy working to the advantage of any particular driver. Sam Chapman and Adam Lavis have both moved up. Greg Padgett and Paul Wood down. Paul Wood off the road. Has got back on, but he's made a mistake. He was already 7th. He's got a long enough buffer between himself, or long enough gap between himself and Greg Padgett that it should not worry him. But there's a guy that you'd normally expect to be a little bit further up, and he hasn't been tonight. So this is the sprint feature for you, ladies and gentlemen. After this, we wind the wick up a little bit in terms of participation numbers and race distance. And we bring you the Porsche Cup from Road America, and that will be an absolute beauty over 60 minutes.
Will it not? Road America and the Porsche.
Road America always delivers the goods.
And the Porsches. A fantastic car combo. Again, not to take anything from the race you're watching here at Magny Core, but Road America is one of the all-time great racetracks, and I cannot wait to see a massive grid of Porsches fight their way around for a good 60 minutes.
Been a big week. Apologies to those of you that weren't aware of my absence on Monday night. The club were. I was at Suncorp Stadium watching England beat Nigeria in the FIFA Women's World Cup. And may I just say, Anthony Adshead's in, by the way. Chris Whittaker goes on for another lap at 1 minute 34.002 that last time around. Chapman and Schultz continue on as well. So we're getting towards the back end of that pit window. That critical lap number is not too far away. The critical lap number at the top end of town where you can just chop up and get home, that's already been reached, of course. It was reached on lap 1 with Sam Chapman because there's no tank capacity cap on these races. So drivers can come in, top up, and take themselves to the checkered flag. But we're getting to that critical point where these guys will want to come in and complete that pit stop and get out and just roll through the motions and get to the checkered flag. 7 minutes to go. CW on lap 12 of what we project to be 16. Chapman and Schultz following him. Adshead, the effective leader at the moment of those that have stopped. And well clear of Chapman, Lavis, Wood, and also Greg Padgett. Whoa, here we go. Schultz down the inside because Chapman's wide. Chapman is wide. Exactly what we talked about. So in that particular instance, Chapman, aware of Schultz's presence, has made a mistake and cracked. Gifted Schultz second outright for the moment. But it's not effective second. CW's into pit lane. These two are 19 seconds down the road from that. CW will be out of his box before these two hit the lane. Down into the final 3 corners. Round they come. And they're heading for pit lane. Wow. Here comes Sam Chapman through to go to effective third. Third outright for Sam Chapman. So he is a beneficiary of all of that. He was in the garbage on the opening lap, pitted on the opening lap, and it's just waltzed on through to be only 4 seconds off the leaders, Chris Whittaker and Anthony Adshead. And Adshead's actually come out with an advantage too. He's closed that gap to 1.04 seconds on CW. Anthony only spent 6.2 seconds on pit road. Chris spent 9.82 seconds. A little bit longer than you would have expected, given the pit stop is this late into the race. Five minutes to go. Yeah, again, I loved it, actually, having a look through the F1 2023 game. Have a look at this. Schultz and Chapman, the battle resumes, and Schultz has found himself behind Chapman once more. I had a look at the Formula 1 2023 game a couple of weeks ago, Daniel, and went through, and they tell you from Australia all the way through to Abu Dhabi, the difficulty level of each of the respective racetracks. Magny Core, obviously not on the game, I would suspect would get one of those hard to very hard levels or ratings, I should say, for all the reasons that we've mentioned so far tonight.
I'd actually.
It's been a decent sort of enough show, despite the lack of entries.
Yeah, I would absolutely love to see the modern day Formula One cars in Magny Corp.
I'm sure you're not alone, mate. I mean, the French without a Grand Prix at the moment because Paul Ricard didn't renew the contract.
Are we upset at that, really?
Not me, but there might be a few people that are.
Of all the tracks that they go to, no offense to the French or anybody who enjoys the Grand Prix, but it's just not one of my.
Watch Schultz here. Chapman's aware of his presence. Schultz goes to the outside, squeezes Schultz, does Chapman, and Schultz actually makes it work around the outside for the first time tonight. Just the right amount of acceleration, then a slam on the brakes, and then commitment to carry speed around the outside on the dirty side of the racetrack, and he makes it work. Wow, good work, good move.
Yeah, and I was saying that's another one of the scenarios where the inside car didn't have the cleanest line, and so Schultz managed to put the power down earlier, and therefore took the wider line around the outside, but had faster exit speed, and therefore managed to get the move done. So unfortunately, Chapman down into P6. He still has 3 minutes or so, and so we'll see if he can try and get this position back, but he's going to have to attack pretty hard because the time is winding down.
2.25 minutes to go, 2 laps from home. We're on our way. On our way to the checkered flag. This battle not over yet. It's the only one on the racetrack with any sort of substance to it. Adsed's now dropped far. Chapman's thrown it away.
He kept it.
Chapman's thrown it away. That battle now ceases to exist because Chapman will be left to concede 6th.
Oh, did Whittaker just slide there?
He certainly did.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought so because I saw his car just was a little askew of the white line on the outside of the track, and I thought that's a bit uncharacteristic there. But Adsed's now dropped it down to 7/10.
He has. And apologies, concede wasn't the right word. He'll be left to just consolidate 6th is the word I was looking for there. But well done on that note to Aiden Schultz for withstanding the pressure there, because that was an active battle pretty much from the outset of this race. Round onto the main straight, 1 lap to go. We've got a fight for the win potentially on here. Anthony Adshead, Chris Whittaker's 1 second to the good. They're on their way. White flag in the air. 1 minute to go. Whittaker's on his way home. Adshead's following, and then daylight. They're 3.5 seconds up on Chapman, who's just coming into the back of shot there. Ravis is now just coming across the start-finish line. He's got 5 seconds on Schultz, who now has 2 seconds on Chapman, who has 4.5 seconds on Paul Wood. And Greg Padgett, good luck to him, because he's out there giving it a crack, and he hasn't just thrown in the towel like so many probably would. He might be 50 seconds down on the outright leader and 22 down on Paul Wood. But he's out there, and he's going to come home in one piece in 8th place, and that's great to see. Couple of moments along the way. One for Adam Lavis, which cost him any sort of hope of fighting with Sam Chapman for 3rd place. And that's the thing. It comes down to mistakes around here, because Lavis, I should say, had the pace. He was second on the grid. He had the pace. The potential to turn it into a result was there. It's slipped out from under his grasp with regards to the 2 mistakes that he made there, or as a result of them, I should say. But in the meantime, Chris Whittaker's into the final sector, on the way to the checkered flag, and it's going to be 2 from 2, and it's going to be a relatively healthy margin in the end of 1.6 seconds, so he's doubled his advantage on this final lap. Down into the final 3 corners he comes. Last turn, checkered flag. Chris Whittaker, well done. 16 laps again around the Magny Course circuit, and he didn't waste his time getting to the pointy end of town, and he went on with it after the pit stop to take the double once more. He clean sweeps the night with pole position as well. He's had a good night out, but he doesn't get the bonus point for the fastest lap because Sam Chapman does that on the final lap. 1 minute 33.233.059, faster than CW's best of a 1:33.292. So that'll annoy CW just a little bit.
Kurt's gone.
And there's Kurt Chapman just throwing it away in frustration and angst, no doubt. Adam Lavis came home fourth. Aidan Schultz, Kurt Chapman, Paul Wood, and Greg Padgett. Well, there we go. Again, what it lacked in depth and field size, ladies and gentlemen, it made up for with a little bit of entertainment along the way. We hope you enjoyed that, and we know full well that we've got a good Porsche race coming up in just a few moments' time. Now, I mentioned the other night I went to the FIFA Women's World Cup, and I loved every second of it, watching England and Nigeria. Let's just congratulate everybody involved at FIFA and the organisers here, more specifically in Australia, who have put the event together, because it has been a raging success. Largest ever attended FIFA Women's World Cup in history. And it's not over yet. That record will continue to climb and grow over the course of the next 10 days before we get to the final on August 20. But what we should point out here is congratulations also to the Seven Network. It's very rare that the Seven Network will bump their 6 o'clock news bulletin to either an earlier or later time slot. They've bumped it back to at least 7 o'clock on Saturday night so that the Australia-France game can air on the main channel. So credit to them for that. Chris Whittaker, Anthony Adshead, Sam Chapman, Adam Lavis, Aidan Schultz, then Kurt Chapman, Paul Wood and Greg Padgett made up the top 8 in what was, and at times entertaining, but an otherwise lackluster Aston Martin doubleheader round 5 of the production car series here. Very nicely done. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll wait for CW to come and have a quick chat to us here about that. And there will be an intermission, folks. We will be taking a break as we reset and get into the Porsche server from Road America. And we will do that. But what we'll try to do, I should say, is leave the screen there for you with qualifying rolling through the broadcast. And we'll pick up commentary towards the back end of that session as we get ready for the green flag to be waved on the 60-minute race. Daniel's here alongside me. We're staying with you for the night. That is a 60-minute race, so make a note of that. Normally we get out of here about 10:15. Tonight it'll be about 30:30 because that race will finish a little bit later. It's 20 minutes longer than our usual 40-minute sprint races in the Porsche Cup, and about 15 minutes later than the combined distance of our 2-race sprint format. So be aware that we'll be around a little bit later tonight, as we will be in a couple of weeks' time with, or is it Monday night this coming week? No, it's not this Monday night. It's next Monday night, the 90-minute race around the Circuit de la Sarthe at Le Mans in France on August 21. So next Monday night, we've got a 60-minute race around the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. The following Monday night, 90 minutes for the GT3s. Sam Chapman's here. He's going to have a chat to us at this point in time. Hey, Chapo, before I talk about the race that was, mate, and well done, 2 podium finishes, 2/3 there. Let's just give everybody a brief update on Sunday and the first round of the new look GSRC GT3 Endurance Championship with the hypercars as well from Monza. What were your thoughts on that?
Mate, it was brilliant out there on Sunday. It was, I think we had... it was over 30 cars out there, so 10 of the quick ones, and then the 20 GT3s. So yeah, brilliant day of racing, and great to watch. Great battles all the way through, and it really added a sort of an extra part to it with the oh, that was a good. Yeah, nice.
Oh, dear. Just talk yourself up. Why not?
Yeah. But yeah, no, having the hypercars as well really added to it. So yeah, brilliant race.
Righto, mate. Straighten it up here and talk to me about your thoughts on this car and this circuit and why there were only 8 of you out there tonight.
Well, I mean, it's a great car and it's a great circuit, but it's not the easiest car and it's not the easiest circuit. So, yeah, it was good fun out there. But, you know, getting our head around this car, very different to anything else we're driving in this series, right? You know, you've not got any ABS. It's a lot quicker. You know, it's quite a different driving style, so it takes a bit of practice to get used to, particularly with braking.
I was trying to, I went round in circles and roundabouts, I think, trying to make the point during the course of this race. We had a fair bit of time to fill, let's be honest. The field was fairly spread out. But I mentioned the nature of pressure in this caper, because 9 times out of 10, the chasing driver can force the defending driver into a mistake on circuits where overtaking opportunities are pretty much there in swags, right? In multitude. But here, I felt as though there were moments tonight where it was the attacking driver, the driver trying to get past. More times than not, it was them making the mistakes, because overtaking is so difficult around here, and you've got to commit to it when you do it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really tricky. And because these cars are so easy to lock up as well, following that closely, it's just super, super risky for both of you. So, yeah, overtaking's tough. You've got it into that hairpin and the outlane hairpin, but outside of that, it's pretty tough without an error being forced. But in this car, you know, those errors can be forced. It's not the easiest drive.
No, it's certainly not. Is it better than the Renault Clio, though?
Oh, it depends how you look at it. I didn't mind the Renault Clio that much. It took a bit to get my head around this, but yeah, I'll hold my judgment. I think we'll have other votes in the booth against the Clio.
I was expecting as much. Second half of the season, mates. So next Thursday night, of course, we reconvene, and the Mazda MX-5s in Willow Springs, another one of the new circuits on the survey. Your thoughts?
Yeah, so no, it'll be double Willow Springs next week as well, because we'll do GT4s there. So we've got a bit of practice in, haven't done a huge amount around it, but what I've seen is pretty good. MX-5 is obviously always a lot of fun. I think we'll see the field fill out a bit more.
And that's the thing as well, like different horses for courses. Like if you're in the Mazda MX-5s around here, I feel as though there'd be a bit more in the way of overtaking opportunities. Thankfully, Willow Springs, no matter the car, overtaking opportunities exist, and they're not minimal like they are here. There are plenty of them around that circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we'll see a lot of side-by-side around there, and some good racing through it. It'll be good to be back in the MX-5.
All right, what's next for you, please?
What's next for me? I've got to do the GT4s on Monday. I've been fiddling around with the GT3, so I might jump in as well, but we'll see how we go.
All right, mate. Very nicely done. Hey, thanks for stopping on by to have a chat to us. Hang around and hear the insights of CW, if you please. Let's move to him now. Chris, that couldn't have gone much better, mate. Pole, 2 race wins. You missed out on the fastest lap, though, in the second race. You got pipped there at the very end by a fast finishing Sam Chapman. I forgot to mention that to him, actually, so he'll be delighted. But in saying all of that, the absence of Brendan and a few other factors help you as far as the championship fight is concerned. But let's talk about the one talking point of the night as far as your race was concerned, the second race this is. You're chasing a member of the family in Anthony Adshead. What's with the light flashes on lap 4 of a 16-lap race, please?
Just trying to keep him on his toes, mate. It's one of those things. I'm trying to coach him through and keep him calm while he's out in front, but at the same time, I'm going, no, you bloody make a mistake so I can come through here somewhere. It's
yes.
Yeah, no, mega pace. He was doing really, really well. I was throwing everything at him. I had nothing. That's what I said to him after the race. Wasn't going to tell him that at the time, but
No.
that was really, really hard track to pass on. And you got someone who's got similar pace. You probably touched on it during the broadcast, but you got someone who's got similar pace. You just got to wait till they make a mistake. His economy was better than mine as well. I completely stuck the stop and took an extra 15 litres. Took 20 litres of fuel instead of 11. So that kind of hurt a little bit. But I think in doing so probably helped Anthony a little bit because he was touch and go on juice, so he got a bit of a tow to the home. But no, good night at the office. Shame bet race 1 for Ant. He was killing it there, but he's making a habit of these podiums now and up to P4 in the championship, displacing Brendan with his week off and my second week off next week, unfortunately. So. We'll see.
Yes, that's right. Historic Leeburn's on next weekend, isn't it?
Correct, exactly right. So we'll be out there from Tuesday night. So unless I can find someone in downtown Leeburn with a rig that I can borrow for Thursday night, but I'm pretty sure I won't be able to see the screen at that point in time anyway. So
correct.
That's it. We'll tune in. We'll have it on the projector by the campfire, and we'll jump on after a couple of so-called spicy colas and stir you up a bit.
One of those Trent Laver specials. Very nicely done. Hey, okay, so let's pick apart a couple of things there. Correct. Difficult for overtaking. So, obviously, from where we were looking in the commentary box, you tore through the field on lap 1. Start was critical. You made light work of the chasing pack as you were weaving your way through on the full reverse grid race. First one of the season, hopefully the only one. And then the gap that Anthony had early in the piece was, 4 or 5 seconds. You didn't waste any time clawing that back by lap 4. But as you say, it took a while for you to find your way by. And I guess you know at the point, A, overtaking is difficult. B, if you can sit behind and save a little bit of juice, if his economy's better, all good and well, and good luck to you. But 3, if you've got to commit too much to make an overtaking opportunity work for you, is it worth it, or is it just easier to sit in there and hope that they make a mistake? And we saw plenty of that tonight.
Yeah, as Sam touched on, tricky track combo. I love this thing. It's a bit of a knack to getting around the track quickly, but it's still really easy to make mistakes, no matter how good you are in it. So it's which I guess was pretty evident by the disparity in lap time as well. It was
and the gaps in the field at the end,
Yeah, I imagine so. It probably wasn't the best viewing, unfortunately, with only 10 people or 8 or whatever we actually had on track. It's, again, disappointing. I'm not sure what everyone's doing. Just go on, get out there and bloody do some laps with yours. It's Reese. I don't know where he is. He's got no bloody excuse. But
yes,
Brendan's up on Fraser at the moment. I'm going to keep calling it Fraser because that's what it's called. But he'll be back next week anyway. But Sam obviously picking me off on the last lap there. I thought I actually had it covered, so I wasn't game to keep pressing on with that anyway because it's so easy to get off track in this place. So we're on the perfect round for a little bit there, but the 0 incidents is worth 3 points, I think, and fastest lap I think is worth 1. So happy to sacrifice that, but also thought that I had it in the bag. So well done to Sam on that, but. Just hang around for another fortnight and see what the combo is and tune the buggy up and go for a spin.
A fortnight, you say. So that'll be Thursday, the 24th of August. It'll be Production Cars Mustangs and it'll be Watkins Glen Cup. So the short shoot
combo.
Oh, yeah. Looking forward to that one already. Interesting. Obviously, you love this car, so already it's ahead of the Renault in your eyes.
Goes without saying, mate. It's funny, I've had the same amount of success in this thing as I've had in the Renault, but the difference being that I haven't crashed this one.
Yeah, that's true. And you actually like driving this one as well. You're not persevering with it. You actually jump behind the wheel with a little bit of enthusiasm. Now, what's next for you, mate? Obviously, we won't see you next week, Lee Byrne. What about the Production Sports Car Championship? Where's that at, please?
What do we got? We've got QR Enduro at the end of the month. I think it's 27, 28, something like that, as we lose picture by the looks
26,
of it.
27.
We're back again. 26, 27, that sounds right. Friday, Saturday. So
28 to Monday, so that won't work for you.
Well, if I enter, then it'll be Monday before I finish the 1 hour race, mate. Still got no motor, but apparently we've got all the parts coming into next week. So someone got a little spray yesterday. Gave him a little Zach Caven impersonation and told him I like him very much. And magically, all the parts are going to be here by the end of next week. So hopefully by the end of the month, we'll have a car running again, just in time for the next round of the historic QR.
All right, very nicely done. Yeah, as you said, interesting car and track combo, and that's the thing, isn't it? Like when you look at next week, so there are some cars, like there are some circuits that will suit any car you throw on them. This circuit probably not suited to this car. I think it's fair to say, but we made it work. We persevered with it. When you look at next week, Willow Springs, you're not going to be here in the Mazda MX-5s, but it's going to be good viewing because it's a great car. Firstly, the racecraft of the category is fantastic. We've seen that many times before, but it's a wide open, flowing sort of circuit with plenty of overtaking opportunities on offer.
Yeah, I think being that it's a new circuit as well, it's sort of a clean slate for most of the people. So I haven't even bought it yet. Doubt Brendan Willer, Anthony wouldn't have. So I think between, you know, all the usual suspects up there, you know, with Adam, with Brendan, with Reese, with Sam, with Anthony, it's and I think Aiden goes all right from memory in the MX-5s as well. So there should be some pretty bloody good viewing. Just got to get some numbers out, you know, get back to those 25, 30 car fields. Where are they going to? But yeah, hopefully the Mazda will attract a few extras back again, and then obviously the 86, whatever probably the following week or 2 weeks later, the 86, and then what, packing these jiggers again. Yeah.
Yep, indeed, and looking forward to that immensely. Go and get a monster, mate. Thank you. I've just got messages coming in at the moment, so we'll go to a break and I'll deal with that. Thank you for stopping by for a chat, mate. I don't normally get distracted, but it was right in my line of sight. Thanks for stopping by. Well done on the double. Good luck next week in Leeburn. Looking forward to catching up with you the week after that. Hopefully, you can make the most of the other 4 rounds of the championship, given that it is your second drop round, because you need to make every poster winner in that instance. But thankfully, numbers and absences might work into your favour as well. So well done tonight, and all the best for Leeburn.
Thanks, mate. And scale of 1 to 10 to the skid after the race.
Not bad, not bad at all. In fact, you kind of made spice things up with the overfuel, so we appreciated that because it gave us something to talk about on the last lap because there wasn't another bloody battle on the circuit. Yes, the skid work after the race was greatly appreciated as well. In fact, was there a slight little skid on the second last lap too?
Oh, nearly binned it on the second last lap.
Yeah, Daniel picked that up, actually. Daniel picked that up.
I had the rears locked the whole way in there, channeling me in a J-dub. And it was sliding skating the rear the whole way to the apex. I thought I was gone. I'm like, oh, here we go. Anthony's going to think that I've just handed this to him, deliberately, when in reality it was just a mega mistake. So, yeah. That was a bit out there. But, it was good to finally have a car that has the horsepower and the ability to turn traction off and do some burnouts at the end of the race.
All right, mate. Very nicely done. Look forward to catching up with you in a couple of weeks. We're going to a break. The platform's the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. We've got Porsche racing from Road America in about 10 minutes' time. And as soon as footage comes in, or vision comes in from Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, it'll be up on your screen. And we'll be back with you towards the very back end of that qualifying session. Hope you're enjoying Thursday Night Motorsport on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Terrific to have you company wherever you're tuning in, all around Australia or indeed the world across the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. This is Thursday Night Motorsport, and thankfully, on the back of the production cars delivering something lackluster and poorly attended affair, we've got something a little bit more positive and life-affirming for you now from Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. It is round 5 of the Blackout Electrical Solutions Porsche Cup as this Thursday Night Motorsport doubleheader continues. Last week we had sprint racing from these guys. Tonight we get stuck into a 60-minute mini enduro of sorts, the first of 2 in the campaign. Daniel's here alongside yours truly, Zach Cabe, and it's great to have you along for the ride. Night 4 of week 5 of term 3. And, of course, by this point, next week we'll be starting the second half of the campaign. At the moment, it'll surprise nobody that when you have a look at the Porsche Elite Cup standings, Matty Dench is there in 3rd place on 196 points, and that is 11 off the leader, but that's despite missing last week's round. So when drop rounds come into the equation, Dench is going to be the clubhouse leader once more. 207 for Samuel Sproul, 199 for Corey Lazarus, 196 for Matthew Dench, 194 for Sam Muir, and 167 for Shane Wright. So 40 points covers the top 5, but there are a couple of little discrepancies in that, as I've already mentioned, with Matt Dench missing last week. This is Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. It's 6.5 kilometres in length. It's an absolutely magnificent racetrack. It's a legendary race venue, revered right around the world. Synonymous with IndyCar and also NASCAR as well, as we have a look at it there for you. 6.5 kilometres on the full course. The track temperature is sitting on 38 degrees. The ambient temp is sitting on 24. It's a beautiful day there, fine and sunny. You're not going to get anything else in an iRacing server for the foreseeable future, despite the fact that they're teasing rain. 3 past 12 in the afternoon, clock moving twice as fast as it would in the real world, and 25% humidity. 33 kilometre an hour winds, that'll wreak some havoc. We'll wait and see what that does going into the second half of the server here when we move from qualifying to race mode, because obviously the conditions do change and vary slightly when the clock shifts forward, and we are getting ready for race start here. I should renege to mention, I do apologise, the open split standings at the end of round 4. Paul Wilson 240, 52 points clear of Adam Lavis, 188, Chuk Fung Wong 161, Stephen Gallacher 140, and Joe Baldwin 135. Delighted to say that Trucker, despite missing the Proddy cars, is strapped in, ready to go for the Porsches. Adam Lavis has pole position there for the Porkers. And Corey Lazarus has pole for the elite split here. Corey Lazarus, Sam Muir, and Samuel Sproul. Then that Matty Dench, John Merritt, and Andrew Smith make up the front 3 rows. We'll have a look at that grid in full detail for you in just a moment. What we should point out here is that we've got 60 minutes ahead of us. That'll get us somewhere in the vicinity of, at 2:07. So 2:08, let's round it up to 2:08 just for the sake of mathematics. And 5/8 are 40. So 10 minutes 40 will be 5 laps. So 21:20, 32 will get us to 15, 32 minutes that is. Then we'll go to 40 and 40. Thinking somewhere around that 27, 28 lap marker tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So keep an eye on that. There will be a couple of splash and dashes required here as well. So, yeah, 10 minutes 40 will get you to 5 laps. So if you were to times that by 5, you would be at 53 minutes and 20 seconds. And then obviously from there, it's only 6 minutes and 40 to home. So there's another 3 laps plus the splash and dash. Yeah, I'm going to go with 28 tonight, and I'm going to back myself on that. We'll wait and see if I'm right. There's the grid. Brett Barker's on the 5th row on the 6th row with Adam Proctor, Richard King and Adam Lavis the 7th, Paul Wilson and Nick Wood the 8th, Joe Baldwin and Stephen Gallacher the 9th, Hayden Schultz and Greg Padgett the 10th. Just covering off the gaps in the middle there, Guy Leach is 7th, Ben Pedersen 8th, Shane Wright and Jeff Adams make up the top 10. And it's a field of 20 lining up for this one here in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Ready to go. And looking forward to your company throughout the course of the next 60 minutes. This should be a lot more entertaining and a lot more exciting than what we saw at Magny Corps. I mean, it had its moments, but There was a fair bit of padding involved in that, and I don't mean that with any disrespect to those that turn up, because you've got to be in it to win it. But yes, the Porsches and Road America, like when we go to Phillip Island with these cars, it always delivers something special. We expect this again with the Porsches here, because Road America is just that one of those circuits, and I mentioned it during the call of the production cars, that it doesn't matter what car we throw on here. It's the nature of the circuit and the overtaking opportunities that are presented to us that should deliver the goods. Off and racing. Corey Lazarus didn't muck around. Off, gone. Samuel Sproul and Matty Dench. John Merritt's already been passed by Andrew Smith, who's made a blinder of a start. And look at Ben Patterson there as well. Down to the first corner. Merritt trying to get 2 for the price of 1. Squeezing down on the inside to go to 4th. Can he get it done? Yes, he can. Gets by Andrew Smith and Ben Patterson. Now they've got to be clean here, because it's sketchy, it's treacherous on the opening part of the opening lap as they sort themselves out. Oh, see what I mean? Trouble at the back. All trying to find clear real estate, but it's a slipstreaming and dance duel. Drag race down towards turn 4. And already the moves, the big sends are on and the lock up there. And gone, trouble, Andrew Smith, Shane Wright. Shane Wright got it locked up, went across the face of Andrew Smith. It's all happening. Lazarus, Sproul, Dench, Merritt, Pedersen, Leach, Adams, Barker, King and Lavis, the top 10 in the early stages here. Andrew Smith down 10 spots, Shane Wright down 9. Adam Proctor didn't start the race, nor did Sam Muir. Sam Muir did not start this race. 3rd on the grid, missing in action already. Oh dear. So we're down to 18 for an hour around Road America. But yeah, no shortage of overtaking opportunities here. And because it's such a high speed circuit and everybody's so tightly matched on lap time, it takes a little while to, one, execute overtaking opportunities, because you've got to cover them off and consolidate them. And that's not the easiest thing to do around here. Here's John Merritt making a lunge down on the inside of Matty Dench. Dench.
No, he's made it work.
Allows Merritt through. Opens the door and plays the gentleman game early in the piece, but he'll tuck in behind Merritt and save some fuel. We know how Dench likes to operate here. He's done it on several times in the past, on several occasions. This is not the first time he's attended this rodeo. Onto the main straight. Lazarus and Sproul lead us after 1 lap. And it's interesting too, because the next thing you've got to be mindful of is losing the toe of those top 2. Merritt is already 1.08 seconds behind that top pair of Lazarus and Sproul. So they want to get back on the train. They don't want to lose the train. A, you save fuel. B, because of the high-speed nature of the circuit, it isn't easy to claw back time if you lose it. Trademark 101 Road America stuff coming your way tonight. Long, slipstreaming duels. But also trigger points, trouble points, through some of the tighter corners, particularly around the back towards Canada Corner. You will see some drivers come unstuck. We've already seen it. And that will be the difference. That'll be the make or break territory tonight, determining who's a pretender and who's a contender in round 5 of the Blackout Electrical Solutions Porsche Cup. Entertaining start, Daniel. Not a couple of incidents and a couple of non-starters, but the top end of town, the race contenders have kept their nose clean. John Merritt the most impressive, and Ben Patterson too.
Yeah, it was actually a really good start from everyone. Like you said, just a couple of incidents here and there, which we will go back to and have a watch. The only problem is everyone's so close together, I can't keep my eyes away. So Matt Dench getting overtaken by Merritt, so Merritt up 2 positions there. The biggest mover so far looks to be Schultz down at P13, up 6 positions, and the biggest loser, I suppose it would be Wright down in P18, down 9 positions from the start of the race. And we had 3 non-starters there, Proctor, Davis and Muir. I'm not sure what the deal is there. Hopefully they'll be here for the... Oh, no, this is the only race, isn't it? Sorry, it's not a sprint race, it's a 60-minute race. So, yeah, that's a shame there. So we got only 18 cars on track then.
onto the main straight. 2 laps gone, and still, yeah, I'm wagering on 28 tonight. I just get that feeling. Because for every, like, they're in the 208s at the moment, so you're going to lose 8 seconds a lap to your 2 minutes, and 20 by 8 is 160 seconds, which is 2 minutes and 40, so in minutes and seconds translation. So there's one gone. Throw in another few seconds off that, plus a pit lane transit, you're going to lose somewhere in the vicinity of 4 minutes if you were looking at 2 minute lap time. So yeah, we're looking at 28 laps tonight, folks. It's such a long lap as well that you'll probably see a little bit of overtime. They'll come back to the line at around that 59, probably, somewhere between 59 and a quarter, 59 and a half. And they'll take us into overtime to get to 28. It'll be good. Hope you're enjoying it. Good to have you on board. Thursday Night Motorsport Platforms Gentlemen Sim Racing Club, made possible, and I reneged to do this a little bit earlier, and I do apologise, made possible by the great people at Waste Options, Orbic Australia, Blackout Electrical Solutions, Login Systems, Astute Finance, Fisher Door Lawyers, and Flush Graphics.
Matthew Dench here. He's doing a really good job to stay on the back of Merritt. I thought he might have tried a pass a couple of corners ago. He's chosen not to. I mean, he does have 60 minutes in the bag, so why rush?
Yeah, surprise, surprise. Denchi crunching like a madman. Yep, exactly. So, yeah, I don't expect... We've seen this rodeo before. And this is the difference between the top end of town and the bottom end of town. There'll be some drivers that'll get caught in that, I guess, what do you call it? That impatient nature of racing where you've got to move forward, you've got to get it done, you've got to overtake, you've got to race, right? But these guys know how this works. You follow the leader. You play the game. You follow the train. Yes, it looks a little bit processional. Yes, it looks a little bit dull. But then the fireworks come up, and the gloves come off in that run to the checkered flag. Once that second round of pit stops is played out, if you get caught jockeying and squabbling for positions now, you lose ground. So you make a rod for your own back in the outset here. So anyone that's got a drag, a dance partner at the moment, someone to follow, someone to play with, they're in a good position and they're happy to play the game of just tucking in and following for the moment. They'll know when to pull the trigger, and that's when things will spice up and the entertainment will increase from a commentary box standpoint and from a broadcast standpoint as well, from a viewer perspective. But at the moment, these guys are just essentially, Dan, going through the motions, getting to that first and second round of pit stops, and then worrying about where they are from there. The onus, I guess, on the guys at the top end of town is to stay as close as they can to the likes of Corey Lazarus, or otherwise it defeats the purpose because, I mean, you're in it to win it. But for the guys like, the exception to that rule and where it changes is for the guys like Shane Wright and Andrew Smith, who have got caught up in early incident. They can't afford to sit there and follow the train. They're going to have to pounce. They're going to have to take those risks and make those overtaking opportunities. They're going to have to work their way forward and play catch up for the rest of the night. So there's two different schools of thought here. But for those that are wanting to worry about positional battle this early in the piece, and I'm looking at the likes of the open split guys, if they get caught in battle and start squabbling for position, they're going to lose ground. They're going to lose time because that's what happens when you're overtaking. And we saw that earlier at Magny Core when Schultze and Chapo were doing it as well. Some early pit stops going on here. That's not scheduled for Shane Wright. I wouldn't imagine at the end of lap 4, up the outside goes Nick Wood on Greg Padgett and up into 16th position now. So, yeah, we saw that earlier because Paul Wood lunged up and lurked behind the shadows and pounced on those guys and caught them. Unfortunately, he then went on and made a mistake. Not the point. So, there's three different tactics at play here. The guys that made a mistake early, trying to rectify that as best they can, and just salvage, go into damage control if you like. There are those guys that are just going to enjoy the out-and-out elbows, out racing that you can enjoy at Road America, and then there'll be those at the front end of town just sitting in the train and waiting for that second round of pit stops to come and go.
Yeah, definitely. And while the gaps have started to expand just slightly here, we might go back and have a look at some of those early crashes, which might actually give a little bit of insight as to why Shane Wright has come in early. So this is the first one that's registered here. This was from Nick Wood. The first couple of turns. Let's have a look here. Look for the twitchy foot car, and he's round. He gets rammed at the back there as well.
Yep. So Nick Wood was caught up in an incident before that one down at turn 5 with Smith and also Shane Wright, who's still in pit lane.
Oh, there he is. That's what's happened.
Yep. Shane Wright caught the grass, and from there he was a passenger, and unfortunately Smith was an innocent bystander. So Wright's still on pit road after a minute 36, so he's going to drop a lap here as Corey Lazarus comes round, and Samuel Sproul, John Merritt, Matty Dench, and also Ben Pedersen make up the top 5 at the moment. Yeah, not Shane Wright's finest moment, but again, that whole first lap, hot under the collar sort of urgency, not working to his advantage on that occasion. No fast repair is the question. I think they get one in these 60-minute races, Grant. So, I think there's one. I don't have that information on me. Usually they get one in the 60 minutes, so I'm not sure. Wright is back out there, actually. No, he's parked up for the night. He's parked up. He's booked bailed. He's pitted.
We're down to 17. Okay.
Down to 17. Yeah, Shane Wright is parked up and is pulled out of the race. It's an early shower for him.
It's unfortunate there. We've got too close to the car ahead. Went to hit the brakes. Of course, these are Cup cars, which means they have no electronic aids, and so there's no ABS to save you. The discs are locked up. The tyres go screeching. He goes screaming off the track, and unfortunately, got collected at the back there from Andrew Smith, I believe. Just tapped him on the back there. So. Yeah, must have either caused some damage, or he sort of looked at the clock and went, I can't do anything in 50 minutes, which, I mean, I would have thought there's plenty of time, but he's decided against it.
So we're in the early stages here. We're past the 12-minute mark. We're 1/5 race distance, 20% of the way there. We're on lap 6. Whoa, moment. A couple of cars kicking up a little bit of grass on their way through. It's been good. They're on the limit. They're testing the waters at the moment. But you don't want to be that one that goes a bridge too far and gets too much grass.
Oh, down the inside.
Passenger. Big send down there on the inside. Paul Wilson, the outside. Brett Barker, the inside, I believe it is. No, it's Barker, actually, the outside, and Wilson, the inside. So we've got Barker, Wilson. They're chasing Richard King. We're riding on board with Wilson. He's got Adam Lavis behind us. Wilson's managed to take the lead in the open split here. We've got Lavis under pressure from Andrew Smith, but Adam would be best advised, I would imagine, to let Smith go here because he isn't. They're not racing in the same class. Smith's an elite category character, and Lavis is an open split. So if he was to let Andrew Smith on by, Smith could then go and try and get in the way of that battle between Wilson and Barker, which is also only for outright track position, not for class. But it might then bring Wilson back to Lavis. Smith might be able to give Adam a tow, but maybe Smith doesn't want to work his way by just yet. We'll wait and see. All happening here as they make their way down to turn 5 once more. 16 minutes gone.
Oh, he's looking on the inside. I wonder if he'll just tuck back in. So
not yet. And that's the other thing as well. I mean,
there goes Lavis!
Lavis has gone. Lavis has lit up the rear end and caught the wall on the exit of 5. And that gifts Andrew Smith the position, and unfortunately brings all the hard work of Lavis to this point undone. There'll be damage on the front end, I would imagine. There can't not be. He's smashed into concrete. And he's got Joe Baldwin for company now. That's unfortunate for Lavis. How many times have we seen it, unfortunately? the rear end. I'll let go. Lazarus, Sproul, Merritt, Dench, Pedersen, Leach, Adams, King, Barker, and Wilson. Smith, Lavis, Baldwin, Gallacher, Schultz, Padgett, and Wood, and Wright there in 18th position. Lazarus, Sproul, Merritt, Dench, and Pedersen all in view there at the top end of the tree, but this is another 5-car freight train you've got with Adams, King, Barker, Wilson, and Smith. So this is the great thing about the Porsches and this circuit. Battle pack racing, essentially, with turns that go left and right. Hello, NASCAR. So Lazarus, Sproul, Merritt, Dench, and Pedersen lead the way at the top end of the tree. Nothing changing there at the moment. They're playing very tactical race, showmanship sort of, gamesmanship sort of racing. And now Smith has got to try and work his way forward here. Can he get by Wilson at turn 3? Yes, he can, down the inside. But Wilson could stick on the outside potentially. No, Smith's going to get through and cover it off. Well done. And Wilson's aware that if he sits at the back of that train, he'll continue to build the advantage he's got on the rest of the open sled. He doesn't need to worry about these elite guys. Absolutely does not need to worry about them.
And with that move, Adam Smith has actually now gone to the last position of the elite, and so now they are split. 1 to 10 is the elite class, 11 to 17 is the open class. So this train doing a really good job here. Everybody's staying within less than 5/10 here. So essentially they're just pulling each other along for now. Everyone playing the smart game of trying to use as less fuel as possible. Let the idiot in front of you use all of it. And some good teamwork here from Ramrod as well. Jeff Adams in P7, Richard King in P8. Oh, it's a fantastic camera there on the curb.
It's a great shot. There's no doubt about that. And that, again, comes back to the meticulous attention to detail Adam Lavis has paid to setting up all our broadcasts, our track cameras, camera angles, and he's been doing that for the longest time in his involvement with this club. And everybody else that comes into the producer's booth, like Daniel, like Sam, ends up being the beneficiary of that. Onto the main straight. And you at home as well, you sit there and, I mean, that's the difference between Adam's attention to detail and others that broadcast sim racing in these circles. And we know just how many different sim racing broadcasts there are around there. I had a look at some footage from Mount Panorama the other day, and you could just tell that the iRacing cameras didn't meet up and match what we would normally see in real-world broadcasts, and that's the difference. If we're going to say that this is as close a thing to real-world racing that the sim world can offer, we want it to look like it on the broadcast screen as well. That comes down to graphics, that comes down to camera angles and everything in between. So, no, it is brilliant that we got someone that is dedicated to paying that sort of detail to the job at hand, like Adam Lavis, and there'll be big shoes to fill if ever he departs the club, let me tell you. Corey Lazarus, Samuel Sproul, John Merritt, Matty Dench, Ben Pedersen, the top 5 here. Guy Leach is 6th. Jeff Adams, Richard King, Brett Barker, and Andrew Smith make up the top 10. So that's your elite split. The open split, Wilson, Baldwin, Gallacher, Padgett, Wood, Lavis, and Schultz at the moment there in position number 7. We had Shane Wright bail early in the piece after 4 laps. We've had Proctor and Muir non-starters. We had Jason Davis not even qualify. So of the 20, we're down to 17. Thursday Night Motorsport at the 19-minute mark of the Blackout Electrical Solutions Porsche Cup, the 5th round of the championship, the halfway mark of the season. Road America, one of our absolute favourites. We had the GTs here the other night as well, in the GT4s, that is, and we had GT3s from Road America. Road Atlanta, I should say. So the 2 roads.
The other RA,
yeah, both RA. Yep, exactly. Now, updating Thursday Night Football, Penrith leading Manly 20 points to 12, just so everybody's aware of that. I did actually, a friend of mine was tooting her own horn and tooting the trumpet a little bit early a couple of weeks ago about Manly. They needed to win every game to get to the finals. I said, that's as likely as me ending up walking down the aisle this year. It's not going to happen. And they dropped last week, and they're going to drop tonight as well, and she's gone very quiet, unsurprisingly. Now, just a reminder, on Saturday, Matildas v France, live across the 7 network on the main channel. You won't miss a thing. They will take you to news as soon as 7 o'clock comes, or the completion of the game, whichever comes first, knowing full well that the completion of the game could be after extra time and penalties, which would take it beyond 7:30. So just be mindful of that on Saturday night. Now, let's have a look here. Can we Daniel, go back towards the top end of town, please? Because I just want to give everybody an update. We haven't seen these guys for a while. And we just got a comment about John Merritt getting a little bit toey, a little bit edgy. And there's a reason for that. Have a look at the gap. Corey Lazarus has opened up 1.17 seconds on Samuel Sproul, his teammate. And Sproul is happily sitting there and just, I guess, being a buffer between his teammate and the chasing pack. It's a 1-2 at the moment. But they played this game at Virginia International, and it didn't end up working for them. So they've applied the same tactics here to a 60-minute race as they did to a 40-minute race. Interesting. So Sproul, if he can latch back onto Lazarus, that's going to help Merritt. But Merritt's not going to, Merritt's not going to want to sit there and be patient for much longer if he can see Lazarus disappearing into the distance, into the sunset. Onto the main straight we go. Another lap gone. That's now 10 in the book at the 21-minute mark, 21 and 40-minute mark. So I think the numbers were about right there. Those 208s, we're still hitting those numbers. Now, I just want to keep an eye on. I want to keep an eye on this for a couple of reasons, and I understand the comments coming through about having a look at the rest of the pack. No, we've not checked in with the top 5 for a couple of laps here, so I just want to check in with them because at the end of the day, obviously people watching online on internal servers are getting a far better view than us because they're able to flick between different cars. But more than that, if Merritt does decide to pull the trigger here on Samuel Sproul, he's going to have to pull the train along, so he's not going to be able to do any fuel saving per se. But more than that, is that then going to mean that the Corey Lazarus and Samuel Sprouls of this field and Ben Pedersen's are going to have to change their tactics and strategy? Because all of a sudden, you're not going to have 1, 2, you're not going to have that buffer, you're not going to have that protection. And Merritt, we know John Merritt's a hard racer. We know that he doesn't mind leading the way. So, and how quickly would he be able to claw back any sort of deficit that they have here as Samuel Sproul has lost that little bit of time to his teammate. It's only 0.69 now, so it has come down whilst this lap's been playing out. And the other reason I want to keep an eye on these guys is because they're usually the best indicator of where our critical lap numbers are, where our threshold is with regards... Oh, no, Ben Pedersen! Ben Pedersen has kicked up some dirt. He's dropped down to 5th spot, as we know, but he's lost 9 seconds on the pack. He's had a moment up around Canada Corner, and this is how.
Oh,
he was already losing ground to the chasing pack, and that is a huge moment for Pedersen. Oh, my goodness. Now, Corey Lazarus is in. That's exactly what we were talking about. Lazarus is in at the end of lap 11, but everyone else plays on. Sproul, Merritt, Dench go again. So it is certainly a 2-stop race. Whoa, Andrew Smith was lucky not to get cleaned up there by Jeff Adams or Guy Leach. It was one of the two. There are now pit stops playing out at Road America. As I said, those guys are the catalyst as to where that threshold is on the fuel tank capacity. So they've got 11. Some of these guys have got 12, the benefit of fuel saving. And if I'm right with my prediction of a 28-lap race, that means that the earliest we'll see them in to top up for the splash and dash for the run home is 16. And the latest, because they can get the 12 laps out of the tank. 17 for those that can only get 11. But then the latest we could see people is like, 22, 23, 24. That threshold of 11 or 12 per stint. So now we've got our numbers. Now we know where we're playing, where we're running. Brett Barker sitting in 7th at the moment. Has Richard King and Jeff Adams for company. And now the gloves are off. But these guys are essentially the mid-pack. They are second to that top 3 that or top 4 that we were talking about earlier. So they're essentially now up between that concept of following the leader and letting the train get to that second round of pit stops and then duke it out. And also, they're now openly fighting for position. So they're a bit of column A, a bit of column B at the moment. Keep an eye on that. The first round of pit stops, Corey Lazarus, Ben Pedersen, Andrew Smith, Adam Lavis, Stephen Gallacher, Aidan Schultz, all in at the end of that previous lap. Oh, actually, no, Lavis and Schultz came in at lap 8. So they're on a different strategy altogether. So the latest they could come in, it would be about lap 19, 20 if they want to go a full tank. If they want to go and break it up as evenly as they can, 3 stints, they're looking at about lap 18 to get home on another 10 laps. So there are different strategies playing out here at the moment. Sproul, Merritt, Leach, all in. Adams, Barker, Wilson as well. The field will soon be cleansed. Dench goes on to lap 13. Are we surprised? No. And if he can get to 14, then he's all of a sudden in interesting territory because he might be able to go through without a second pit stop. It's seemingly unlikely, given the fuel burn, given the length of the circuit. But if anyone's going to have a crack at it, we know who it's going to be.
So just keep an ear out on the throttle here. Already got a 17-second gap now to King behind. And so it'll just be him and King get to pit.
And he's opened up. I mean, he's got that advantage up his sleeve. That's number one. Number 2 is those 2 guys, therefore, aren't even in the same ballpark on the racetrack. They're not even in the same postcode. So he'll have that, plus whatever he picks up out of the pit lane on Richard King, and that just goes to show how big a gap the front pack pulled on the second pack in that opening stint. Here comes Dench to pit road now, the end of lap 13. So we know he can go to 13, so he could come in as early as 15. He could come in as late as 26. Anywhere between there, we'll see Dench back on the pit road. Now, just going and having a look at the current score Thursday night football, Manly v Penrith. Penrith out to a 24-12 advantage over Manly at this point. 28.5 minutes gone here. Been a big night. Certainly the intensity and the excitement and drama of this race making up for the lack thereof in the earlier. Sometimes the entree is not as good as the main course. Sometimes it's better. But tonight, the main course delivering the goods. Dench out of pit road right now and with an advantage on John Merritt. No surprise. It's somewhere in the vicinity of 3.5 seconds Matty Dench has on John Merritt. Corey Lazarus is 3rd. Samuel Sproul is 4th. And Richard King still on pit road. Ben Pedersen comes through. He had to stop on lap 11 to get that damage repaired. He's got past Richard King. So too is Andrew Smith. King is coming out onto pit road and is going to be right in the thick of the battle with the likes of Guy Leach and Brett Barker and Jeff Adams. But he's at the back of the train. So going that extra mile didn't necessarily work for him. And that's the gamble. That's the risk you run. The gamble you take. With regards to all of that, you've got to be careful.
Oh, he's bump drafting him.
Andrew Smith bump drafting Ben Pedersen. So that's well done from Andrew Smith. He has clawed back an immense amount of ground here, and he's right on the tail of Ben Pedersen for 5th place. I don't think he's a chance of clawing back 14 seconds and getting back with the top 4, but at least he's got someone to play with here in the form of Ben Pedersen, and both because they've made mistakes. Smith made, I take that back. Smith was an innocent bystander on the opening lap. That was what cost him time. And, of course, Pedersen has made a mistake. So there's now an active battle for 5th raging, along with the battle for 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th. But that's now well and truly ballooned out. It's 3.93 seconds from Dench to Merritt, who has leapfrogged Lazarus and Sproul. And Sproul's right there pushing Lazarus through. And Grant's pointed it out. Lazarus is the only one tagging someone along at the moment. Samuel Sproul is saving fuel behind his teammate right now. Smith there on Pedersen. Leach, Barker, Adams and King, active battle for 7th. It's raging. There's no battles at the moment currently in the open field. Paul Wilson leads Adam Lavis, Joe Baldwin, Stephen Gallacher, Aidan Schultz, Nick Wood and Greg Padgett, and all by substantial margins. So we've got a fight for 7th to keep an eye on here. The 208.212 for John Merritt, the fastest lap of the race earlier in the piece as well, just so that we can keep you up to date on that. It's been fantastic, hasn't it? Pedersen there, Smith as well, Leach, Barker and Adams. Again, you've done enough of this side racing. Oh, Smith again, just all over the back of Pedersen like a cheap suit, just pushing him along. This isn't NASCAR, boys. So let me bring you in at this point in time, Daniel. There's something to be said about the pros and cons of fuel saving. Those that can do it well and not lose time while saving it, no problem. But if you're not going to save time and it's going to end up costing you in the long run, what's the point of taking the gamble in the first place? I mean, everyone's committed to 2 stops, and I get that an inch is as good as a mile. If you can save a tenth, 100th of a second here and there on pit road by not having to take as much fuel, this, that, and the other. But if you're going to end up...
Oh, he's in the wall!
Contact! Pedersen and Smith have come together. Smith slammed the wall. Pedersen sideways on the exit. That battle's not over. We'll keep an eye on that. That battle is not over. The first shots have been fired. But yeah, you've always got to weigh it up, because there's always going to be people who win out in those situations and people who lose out in those situations. So keep an eye on Richard King in the meantime, because he was the one that went to 13 laps and the rest went to 12. Will that come back to serve him well in the long run, or will it cost him?
Well, it is such a risk. The problem is that, like you said, fuel saving can really, really pay off. But then it's almost as if it's double as painful if you get it wrong. Because then you've just wasted all that time fuel saving, and everyone else is sort of just like, well, we're going to go full speed. And then by the end of the race, it's like, all right, I've got a couple of more litres in the tank, I suppose, but I can't make them work. I can't get the time back. In terms of Andrew Smith here, I think he just played silly buggers one too many times. Instead of making the overtake, he's like, I'll just bump you. I want the draft. And then he bumped a little too hard. It unsettled the front of the car, and boom, right into the fence he goes. Hopefully it's not significant enough damage where he'll have to come in or anything. But I think the next time by, he'll probably just go for the overtake.
Indeed. Matty Dench has just punched out the fastest number of the race thus far, 208.083. Andrew Smith's back there with Ben Pedersen now. So we've got 2 battles. Oh, here we go. Brett Barker, Guy Leach side by side. Now, the biggest movers so far, Merritt and Dench up 3 spots apiece. So too Pedersen. Barker up 4. Richard King up 3. Paul Wilson up 4. Adam Lavis up 2. Joe Baldwin up 4. Stephen Gallacher and Aidan Schultz both up 4. Greg Padgett up 3. Shane Wright down 9. Adam Proctor down 7. Sam Muir down 19. Now, Proctor and Muir didn't start, so unfortunately... Whoa! Again! some of those positional gains aren't reflective of what's actually transpired here, because when you've got 2 non-starters, everyone gains 2 from the outset. So, especially if you're starting behind those guys, Proctor and Muir. And Muir was supposed to start, I think, 3rd originally. No, 2nd. So, interesting to see how it's playing out here at Road America. Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Andrew Smith and Ben Pedersen, the battle we're watching at the moment. Great battle behind them, though. We need the mega wall at this point, I'd say.
That would be nice to have, actually, to be able to see more than one battle at a time.
I'm sure iRacing broadcasters around the world will be trying feverishly to work on that technology. Wouldn't it be something?
Oh, I thought he was just going to go for a move there, Andrew Smith, but no, he pulls up. Again, just a bit that twitchy front of the car. And, yeah, he just doesn't seem to want to commit to this pass. I mean, again, it makes sense. Stay in the person's draft, and then you'll have more juice at the end of the race. But it's a 2-stop, is it not?
Yes.
Yeah,
yep.
so
Affirmative. Given the numbers we saw in the opening stint, there was no way in hell anyone's going to make it to 28 from there.
Yeah. So
here we go. Smith now trying to set it up on the inside with Pedersen. Does he get it done 3rd time lucky? Yes, he does. But Pedersen won't be content with that. He'll do his best, despite running a little bit wide through turn 1, to stay with Smith and return serve a little bit later on. This is where these two could potentially lose a little bit more time, but it doesn't really matter because the ship's already sailed. Sail up the outside of Lazarus. So now they're playing tactically, the teammates. I've done the heavy lifting for a few laps. Now it's your turn. But with regards to Smith and Pedersen, the gloves are off and this battle is on. Barker, Leach, Adams and King still raging as well.
multi 21 set.
Grant's called it, and rightly so. Oh boy, how good.
Just on that point as well, for those who remember the multi-21 saga, the way in which Mark Webber placed his glass of water with such conviction is still one of the greatest things to ever be caught on camera in the history of Formula One.
100%. 100%. John Merritt is 2nd at the moment. Samuel Sproul 3rd. Corey Lazarus 4th. Andrew Smith and Ben Pedersen. That's the top 6 for you. No change there. We've got our eyes on Leach, Adams and King. Oh, off goes Ben Pedersen again. But that time round, it was just a clip of the grass. And he gathered it up without doing any more damage to the Porsche. We're halfway there, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, we're closer to 2/3 way there. Lap 18. That went quick. See, the first 2 races of the night felt like a little bit of a drag. This one, flying on by.
Oh, look at that.
And damn lucky to gather it up, but he kept the boot into it. Good luck to him. Well done.
Goes Guy Leach in the back of Barker now. And curious if he'll try and... No, he doesn't. You can hear him just lifting off. He wants to stay in that draft. So he will stay in line here for lap 18. Having to fight the wheel a little. And Gallacher at the back there on Baldwin. Also looks like he wants to stay in that draft as well.
Yeah, and the KFC entry does look a treat. It's in one piece at the moment as well, which is good. But normally you don't associate KFC with one piece. Normally it's 2 or 3.
That's right.
So that's a nice change of pace. But no, Joe's looking the goods there in the KFC Porsche. Down the back straight we go. This is the battle for 13th, but it's also the battle for 3rd in class. We should point that out. Grant asking a very good question. There it is. We're at, well, look at that. We're at 6:21 in the evening. It's still daylight. Fantastic. The joys of progressive, civilized summer observance of daylight saving. Magnificent. Yeah, Pete makes a good point. 6:22 in the evening. 27 degrees track temperature, 24 ambient. heading towards the checkered flag in 21 minutes' time, which is 42 minutes. Yes, 42 minutes server time. So it'll be just after 7 o'clock local time there, server time, when the clock expires on this race. And there goes Richard King in the battle for 10th, 9th, 8th, and 7th. He's now a distinct last. Oh boy, and Ben Pedersen's had a mistake as well. There's Pedersen on the outside. That was...
Oh,
Pedersen
no!
on the grass clipping on the outside. Yes, it was, I think.
It was a very, very poor rejoin.
Oh, it's all come undone. It's all gone up in smoke for Richard King. Let's have a look at this. So Pedersen was trying to stay with Smith, but lost too much ground and then threw it away. Just got it all wrong through the carousel. Drifting through the gravel trap. The rejoin not great, and it's just speared right straight into the line of Richard King, who is well and truly in the innocent bystander position there. And now on pit road with substantial damage. So too Benny Pedersen, and 2 more contenders bite the dust. And he could rightly feel aggrieved about that one, I would imagine, Richard King.
Yeah, so unfortunate, especially on that turn here at Road America. There is nowhere to go. You are already holding the limit of the car, trying to make sure you don't go off to the left-hand side, which is, of course, what Pedersen had done. And then, so you're already trying to fight the limit of grip there, and then you see that there's a car just rejoining the track, and you realise, well, I've got way too much speed to be able to turn right. I can't go left, otherwise I'm going to definitely go off. I'll see what I can do, and then just gets clipped and comes off second best. You'd think maybe he would have glanced off the front of the car, maybe continue to go down the track. Instead, it's pushed him right left and, hit the wall hard.
Oh, boy. We didn't see that one coming, but Road America, it throws up the unexpected occasionally, and it's usually random driver errors like that.
Oh, like that!
Another one! Guy Leach gets it locked up through Canada! Oh, boy. Actually, Grant makes a good point. It would be interesting from King's onboard just to see how much time he had, if any, to take evasive action. But Guy Leach, wow. So all of a sudden, ladies and gentlemen, that Barker, Adams, Leach, Wilson, all that battle has evaporated and dissolved. And Richard King as well. So, let's have a look at this. This is Ben Pedersen. We need to go back to King on this one because that's what happened to Pedersen. Off the road. Grass, gravel, never a good thing. And here comes Richard King from the onboard shot. Let's have a look and say, he had plenty of time to see Ben Pedersen, but not enough to take the evasive action because it happened just as he was hitting the exit of the corner. Literally. So he would have seen him there, but he wouldn't have suspected that he was going to come straight into his line of sight or into his racing line. So 17 minutes to go. There'll be some pit stops playing out. Adam Laver, Stephen Gallacher on pit road, and Ben Pedersen as well. And the reason why you see the likes of Pedersen unfortunately come undone in that respect, and Pedersen's parked up for the night, I would imagine he's been on pit road for 3 laps now. Richard King must have had his fast repair up his sleeve because his second stop was only 5.02 seconds. The top 11 yet to stop. And so too Greg Padgett. Everybody else has now stopped twice. We haven't seen our leaders venture in the direction of pit road as yet. Paul Wilson still leads Joe Baldwin now, Nick Wood as far as the open split is concerned. And now the leaders come to pit road. Dench and Merritt, 1 and 2. Merritt 6.4 seconds down, and here goes Sproul and Lazarus. What sort of mischief are these two up to this time round? Interesting to see how it all happens here. I am a little bit surprised that the guys that zigged and zagged in the first stint have gone longer in the second stint. Dench went longer than anybody, but he's gone shorter than anybody, therefore, pretty much as far as this leading pack is concerned on the second stint. That was only a 7-lap run for Denchy, but he's done this caper enough times now. He knows that there's only 16 minutes to go, 8 laps from here. So that'll get us to 28. But, yeah, I think what Benny Pedersen and Richard King have just learnt, and Andrew Smith saw it earlier with Shane Wright, this is a track that demands respect. If you don't get it right, it bites hard, just like any of the other big legendary racetracks out there. And it's so easy to get caught up in somebody else's garbage. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why Grant Gill is still sitting on Facebook and typing away when his vocals would be most welcome in the commentary box. But that's another story.
Oh!
Oh no! Off goes the race leader, Samuel Sproul. Change of hands, and Corey Lazarus goes through. That wasn't multi-21. That was a straight-out error from Samuel Sproul. Got it wide on the exit of the carousel. Another game-changing moment. Penrith 24 have defeated Manly 12. Just so you know, ladies and gentlemen, the end of Thursday night football. So let's follow this with interest. John Merritt. And he's being passed there by Paul Wilson at this point.
It was actually John Merritt who made the overtake on Paul Wilson, but Paul Wilson, even though he was in the open class, decided, no, I'm going to make you work for this.
I'm not having any of that crap.
Yeah, he did. He kept the position ahead. So Merritt in P9 right now. He's going to look to the inside. And he's probably got this one.
And this, yeah, Merritt's got it now. And Wilson's best advised to get out of that because, I mean, he can learn a thing or two following John Merritt around. That's number one. They're not in the same class battle. That's number two. And Wilson wouldn't want to throw it away when he's got a 12-second advantage over Joe Baldwin in the open split at the moment. So 13 and a half minutes to go. Here comes Matt Dench down the inside of Brett Barker. Thanks for coming. Barker still yet to stop a second time. So too Lazarus Sproul and Smith. So too Jeff Adams. And Guy Leach goes to pit lane. Paul Wilson continues on for another lap. We're still waiting to see Joe Baldwin and Nick Wood venture to pit road a second time. We're on lap 22. We're heading to 28. 47 minutes gone on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. 7 laps to go.
So Sproul,
13 minutes.
Yeah, so Sproul was very, very lucky not to bin it on that previous one. We'll actually go back and just have a look from his perspective there. So he goes out wide, and yeah, that's it. And he was, yeah, look at that. That's actually really well focused there. Just kept the steering wheel straight, eased off the throttle, and just let it nicely get back onto the track.
Wow. Just a nice opportunity to catch our breath. There's been a lot happening in the last few minutes.
Yeah, Grant, that's a really good point, Grant. Lucky not to take out his teammate, that's what I'm saying. So you can see, as we see the tram tracks there, yeah, he just, because that could have gone awry. If he tried to counteract that a little too much, then you're right. He could have done exactly what Pedersen did and come swinging onto the track, and then Lazarus would have had nowhere to go. But luckily, all's avoided. So Lazarus now in P1, and Sproul will follow along. I wonder if maybe they'll switch to the end. I doubt it, though.
Hope you're enjoying our coverage. Don't forget to stick around. Post-race show still to come. Thursday night motorsport on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. And we go to the main straight. At the end of lap 22 for these guys. Matt Dench just starting lap 23 now. Lazarus and Sproul go on for another lap. Smith is on pit road. Barker yet to stop a second time. So too Jeff Adams, Paul Wilson and Joe Baldwin. So too Nick Wood. So that's 7. 7 drivers yet to complete their second round of pit stops.
So yeah, Dench and Merritt there on their final run. And everyone else still yet to to jump in. So there's a 22-second gap between Sproul and Dench here. That'll be enough, I think, for... Is that enough for a pit run and fuel? Road America has a pretty decently long pit lane.
Correct. Correct. Benny Pedersen's still on pit road after 9 minutes 17 seconds. So if we get to 28 laps, he needs to get to 21 to be classified. That's not going to happen if he stays on pit road. He would need to get back out there before the leaders start lap 25 to be able to do that, because he needs to get 19, 20, 21 to their 28. 5 laps to go, and Corey... Well, actually, no, not Corey Lazarus. Matt Dench comes back to the line, it will be. And the numbers are adding up just nicely here too, by the way, Daniel. When we see where Matt Dench comes across the line, we'll see that there's going to be somewhere in the vicinity of 9 and maybe a quarter minutes to go. So that last minute, they'll get back to the line in that last minute. We'll probably do somewhere in the vicinity of a minute and a half of overtime to get to lap 28. Yeah. And there's Corey Lazarus pulling the trigger, biting the bullet, coming to pit road.
So here comes Matthew Dench around the corner, and yeah, nowhere near enough.
No. Oh boy, he starts lap 23. There's 50 minutes and 43 seconds, so that's 9:17. At the rate of 2:08, that's 8:32, which leaves you with 45. Thanks for coming. And that means about a minute and 23 of overtime. How's that? Is everyone happy with about a minute and 23 of overtime? We're going to have to be. Lap 28 will start in the final minute of play.
So Lazarus has ended up behind Merritt here. So P6 he exits out. That's going to need some work to the end of the race. Brett Barker doing a really good job, though. Still on the back of Matty Dench. And looks like Paul Wilson as well. Just getting over... inching
yeah. Merritt was in front of Lazarus and Sproul before the second stops. That's a good point from Grant Gill. And still is. But Sproul hasn't, of course, completed his second stop. This is the end of lap 24. I'm expecting everyone that hasn't yet stopped to do so this time by. Sproul, Barker and Adams all came in at the end of lap 12. So too did Paul Wilson. And so too did Nick Wood. So 12 and 12 is 24. They've got to be coming to pit road this time by. They were only there, and there's Sproul now. Barker and Wilson. Barker chasing Dench. Wilson chasing Lazarus. They're the only two yet to stop. No, not the only two yet to stop. They're the only two in positional battles at the moment. But Barker's got to stop now, and Wilson's got to stop as well. So we're not going to have very much in the way of a grandstand sort of finish here at Road America, which is very rare for this caper. It's somewhat etched out into a processional type affair through no fault of theirs. Everyone's brought their A game tonight here. A little bit of drama, a little bit of controversy, but some good overall racing. And here comes John Merritt ranging up the outside to displace Corey Lazarus and Samuel Sproul. Sproul gets back onto the racetrack. Lazarus slots in behind. And there you go. So the two men that we've come to expect at the top end of the tree in GT3 and Porsche racing in these circles over the years, Matt Dench and John Merritt. School, Samuel Sproul and Corey Lazarus once more, with no disrespect to those guys. It has been yet another clinical performance from Dench and Merritt. Sproul and Lazarus played the game and played it well, but tactically speaking, Dench and Merritt have found a way to one-up them, as Dench often does, but it's been an impressive drive from John Merritt as well.
So Dench here with a 10-second gap, almost 11-second gap to Merritt here. Merritt just inching out Sproul at the pit exit there. And so it'll be up to the Blackout guys, Sproul and Lazarus, to help each other Oh, there's Lazarus at the back there. Is he in the wall?
Yep. Corey Lazarus in the wall.
Oh, God, he's
And
moving
out of
so
business.
fast.
Bang. Oh, he did well. He did well not to clip the inside as well as the outside wall there. And that is a toe job. And Corey Lazarus' night is done. Another one bites the dust. And this is how it happened. Oh, Gloriowski, we did not see that coming. Grass again. Oh, just snatched him and smashed him hard left. A hard right in that instance. Our left, your right. Oh, dear, oh, dear. And it was on the rejoin as well. I thought he might have got away with it. But the grass, that rejoin, that little divot in the road between the grass and the bitumen, he's caught that, and it's just sent him hard right. Have a look at it from the onboard. This is going to be wild. Yep. There was a little bit of a divot in the grass there. The car got airborne, jumped the grass. That was it. And that car is written off and done. Lazarus out. Not a result he could afford. That's as good as a DNS and a DNF. I mean, and the fact that he's exited the server, he's vacated the server, means that he won't get classified. If he'd stayed in the server, he would have got classified as the 9th car home in the open split. Oh, sorry, in the elite split, I should say. And that would have been by virtue of the fact that he completed 75% of the race. His teammate, Ben Pedersen, has parked up as well. But he was 10 laps. He was going to be 10 laps down by the end of it, so he wouldn't have been classified anyway. But that has quickly become a shocker of a night for the Blackout stable. Matt Dench leads by 9 seconds with 2.25 laps to go. We've got less than 4 minutes on the clock. Road America has dished up another sting in the tail, and Samuel Sproul is left to scrape up the pieces of the night for the Blackout stable and bring it home in 3rd place. He will try his best to stick with Merritt here and have a late lunge. The margin's 1.1. We'll stick with that battle. There's nothing else really lurking in the shadows on the racetrack here. Andrew Smith, however, has just punched out the fastest lap of the race, 2:07.888.
So of all the cars left on the grid,
yep,
everybody is making up positions from the start except 2. And that is Samuel Sproul, who started 3rd, is 3rd, and Guy Leach, started 7th, is 7th.
So, yeah, it's rare that we see that, isn't it? That everyone's got a plus next to their name when they cross the line. First through 14. So we've got 14 left on this grid, on this track at the moment, which is as you can see, Road America looks fairly bare and vacant at the moment. They spread out well around here. No. Matt Dench, 8 seconds to the good on John Merritt. John Merritt's under some sort of pressure here from Samuel Sproul, who's closed to within 0.9 of a second. The only other battle on the track is Guy Leach looming large on Jeff Adams. So we'll stay across that. Paul Wilson's got the open split under control from Adam Lavis and Joe Baldwin. And Richard King will rue what might have been there through no fault of his own. Smith, 2:07.759. Nick Wood off the road momentarily, but gets it back on. Not a great night for him. Joe Baldwin, 3rd in the open split at the moment. Aiden Schultz, a retirement that we didn't see either as well. So, Wright, Schultz, Pedersen and Lazarus, the non-finishers thus far. Muir and Proctor are the non-starters. Oh boy. Road America delivers again.
So Greg Padgett just moving out of the way here, not to affect the battle between P2 and P3. Very well done.
White flag flies next time by.
So Guy Leach has just gone under the 1 second mark to Adams in P6. So there might be a battle yet down the field.
Maybe.
Oh!
And that would have been the trifecta, unfortunately, but not the trifecta you want. That was perilously close. So lucky to get away with it.
And what that is that you can just tell with moves like that, you can tell he's pushing. He's giving everything he can in that car to try and catch Merritt here. But he's also got to remember that he needs all four wheels on the car. So I'm all for pushing, but you've already had 2 team members out of this race for extending track limits just one bit too far, not being able to keep it straight. So although of the 3, Sproul has definitely been the one to show that when he does go off track, he can keep it straight and rejoin in a manner that keeps the car in one piece. So we are now on the final lap, I believe. That was Barney there waving that flag.
Yeah, good to see he's still doing his job. He hasn't slacked off the night. And we're on the final lap. Matt Dench leads by 7 seconds. Sproul will throw everything at it to try and stop Merritt, deny him a second. But at the moment, the job is just about done here at Road America. Guy Leach all over the back of Jeff Adams. Let's follow this. For 6th outright in this race and 6th in the elite split. Down they come to turn 4. 3, I should say. 4's the kink halfway along the back straight. What a race it's been. Another clinical performance from Matt Dench. One-upped everybody early in strategy play. Does it better than anybody in this game. He's on track for title number 7.
Dench well and away. Almost 8 seconds down the road there. Just coming to the back half of the circuit now. Sproul has had a moment, it seems. He's now up to almost 2 seconds from Merritt. That's unfortunate there. As Guy Leach as well, dropping back.
Yep, and that'll just about do us. Everyone's going to come home where they are now, barring a mistake late in the piece. Let's pick up Matt Dench. Second last corner. Checkered flag. Missed last week, but has lost none of his touch or class. Claims yet another win in the Blackout Electrical Solutions Porsche Cup and heads back towards the championship lead. Dench wins in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, round 5 of the championship. And it's yet another dominant season he's putting together. Magnificent stuff. Well done, Matt Dench. John Merritt 2nd. Samuel Sproul 3rd. Andrew Smith 4th. Brett Barker 5th. And Jeff Adams will come home in 6th place, just ahead of Guy Leach. Paul Wilson will win the open split ahead of Adam Lavis. Richard King, the last of the top 10 there, but the 8th home in the elite split. Joe Baldwin will finish the podium as far as the open split is concerned. There in 11th, then Gallacher and Wood make up the field. Greg Padgett comes home a lap down in 14th. He was the only one a lap down in a field where only 14 finished the race. Big retirements for Lazarus Pedersen and Shane Wright. Aidan Schultz out of the open split. And non-starts, which we haven't got to the bottom of, for Sam Muir and or Adam Proctor. There's Joe Baldwin, 3rd place in the open split. Another podium for him. Well played. Oh, so it lacked a little bit of substance and fruit there once the incident for Corey Lazarus ruled him out of contention. That was the battle we were all watching. Samuel Sproul lost out on the last lap as well. But in the end, just brilliant from Matthew Dench once more. There are the results. 7.39 seconds to the good for Matt Dench. Just incredible what that guy's been able to achieve. Pay attention, Queensland. Have a look at that. Just to past 7 o'clock server time and still broad daylight. What a beautiful idea that is for, the summer months and the holiday season. Brilliant. Shame they won't get on board with it until about 2099. After I'm well and truly gone. Dench, Merritt, Sproul, Smith, Barker, Adams, and Leach, the top 7. Wilson, Lavis, and King made up the top 10. Wilson, Lavis, and Baldwin the podium of the open split. And there you go, only 14 finishes in the end. Corey Lazarus, it says that he'll get 22, but he won't. He's not classified because he departed the server before the race had been checkered flagged. Your thoughts on all of that, Dan?
Oh, it was a fantastic race. I really didn't expect those types of incidents from the Blackout guys, I'll be honest. But Pedersen's one was unfortunate. And then, Lazarus, like towards the end of the race, you'd think, you didn't have to push that hard. But he just caught out. He got caught out. He got put on the grass. He had 2 tires on the grass. And then he had that bump, like you said. And then when he tried to catch the car, it decided it wanted to go right. And it went right, hit the wall, and that's done. I mean, Sproul's done great for the team there. Comes across in P3 to get some good points, but, it would have been better if there was 2 cars finishing, or 3. But other than that, it's a fantastic race. Matthew Dench again shows an exemplary result there. Just, who's going to stop this guy, honestly?
Well, yeah, exactly. Not sure at this point. Really not sure. Terrific stuff. Matt Dench, John Merritt, Samuel Sproul, the top 3. John Merritt standing by to come in and have a chat to us. And I must say, Hot Lap, it is terrific to have you back on the grid and back in the booth for a post-race chat here. You've lost none of your touch, but then again, neither's the bloke that finished ahead of you either.
Sorry about that, a bit of a fact. Yeah, thanks for that being too long.
Mates, talk us through it because it looked very tactical there at the start. You made a ripper of a start, got down the inside of Andrew Smith, made light work of him, and then happily you and Dench followed one another around. And then it seemed to me as though you might have been getting a little bit impatient with the way in which Samuel Sproul was just holding the field back and letting Corey Lazarus sit comfortably a second up the road. But eventually you found a way around them too.
Yeah, I was just being Denchy's toe there for a little bit, but yeah, look, I probably wasn't frustrated. I was just conscious Sam would have been saving a bucket of fuel behind Corey, so if they slowed up much more, we would have had to get on with it, I think.
Yep, exactly. You just saw on screen there a replay of one of the defining moments earlier in the race when Shane Wright and Andrew Smith came together as well. Interesting too, John, because I mentioned there earlier in the piece that 9 times out of 10 in this caper, if you guys can avoid pulling the trigger and engaging in any sort of positional battles during the first 2 stints, you will. How close were you to pulling the trigger?
Oh, no, I wasn't really trying to pass Sam. It was just making sure I got that extra lap when Corey pitted. Unfortunately, he was probably towing the other 3 of us around in that first stint. So I sort of got a knock with that moment down there at the end of the straight. I didn't know if I had any damage to the first lap, but the car was fine.
Very nicely done. And then in the second stint, it was fairly easy going. Third stint, a little bit of a late challenge from Samuel Sproul, but you managed to fend him off as well. But unfortunately, by that point, the horse had bolted. There was no catching Denchy after the first stint. When he can go 1 lap further than everybody else on a track this long, you know that the rest of the pack is still trying to catch up.
Yeah, and the pace Matty had in that second stint and that gap, I thought I pushed as hard as I could in the second stint, but didn't sort of have anything for him, and knew I was probably a little bit out of conserving fuel. But I've got to say, the tyres were definitely shot at the end of the race, as Sam commented as well.
Yeah, well, actually, yeah. How close did you worry about tyre wear, tyre rubber, changing tyres, taking any freshies on during your pit stops, John?
Well, my ever chatty crew chief told me you better watch out. We're going to need tyres, so that would have been sort of 5 laps from the end. So
yeah,
they were obviously well shot, and just the way the car was through turn 1 and particularly 2, I obviously sort of had a long run in it, so just to test the tyres.
As we saw, a couple of drivers come very heavily unstuck tonight. It's one of those circuits where you're on the absolute ragged edge and limit from the outset, aren't you? And there's not too much in the way of margin for error. If you get it wrong here, you pay a very big price.
Yeah, I'm sure you can set it up a bit more conservative. It's probably good for 40-minute race, but as most of the sets, 40-45 minutes. But look, it was okay, but you had to be super careful in the end. A couple of guys clearly had a different set. I think Andrew Smith was setting fastest laps near the end, so he had tyre life compared to a few of us.
Indeed. Well, yeah. There were a couple of hard charges, Smithy being one of them. I mean, unfortunately, it was the incident with Shane Wright that made a rod for his back from the outset. But for him to claw back actually to fourth, that might actually be a candidate for drive of the night, given how bad it started. Were you surprised to see in your rearview mirror Corey Lazarus firing off the road?
Well, I didn't quite catch it, to be honest. It was full concentration, but saw the gap jump on the relative, and thought he'd obviously, he'd speared off a little bit on the outlap down at the end of the straight there, so he might have paid the price for overheating the tyres, which is deadly in these things.
Samuel Sproul actually just saying that it's one hell of an hour on the tyres. I think he might have made a comment about them being 99% shot, so that would answer that. Actually, you were able to just fend him off there in the closing stages, mate. He put up a good fight, but it slipped out of his grasp on that last lap. Again, put it down to tyre wear. The reality of the situation, though, is it's another 1, 2, 3, where we've got 3 different teams, 3 different drivers. It's another podium finish for you. You've lost none of your touch.
Oh, mate, I just have to find a bit of touch to take it to Manny, mate. He's just, he's here, he's just supreme in these things.
Yeah. What else has been happening, Hodler? We haven't seen you for a while.
Oh, I'm at a couple other series and honestly just race when I can, so just been a bit time limited with work commitment.
Yep.
So, love jumping in when I can and going around. It's always fun and respectful.
Yep, indeed it is. Any noticeable change in the Porsche between this time and the last time you've driven it? Obviously, we've had bop updates and other things thrown at it.
I find it's got a little bit more understeer, which is probably harder to get out of the car, and got to say the class has stepped up huge in that front sort of. When I think we looked at it, Adam Lavers commented 8 tenths or 7 tenths between the top 10 drivers in quality, so it's certainly taken another step.
Adam Lavis and Joe Baldwin have actually just joined us in the booth. We'll get the trucker in just a moment. Stand on by for me, mate. John, stay with us, mate. I might come back to you and pick your brain on a couple of other things if we get some time here. We are very limited in terms of our resources for the post-race show here. There's only a few people that have turned up, but thankfully one of them was the race winner, Matt Dench. Mate, good evening to you. Nice to have you back in the server after missing last week. But you've lost none of your touch either, picking up where you left off, which I guess you needed to, because when you've already put a drop round there, dead and buried, it's gone. You need to make most of the rest of the other posts a winner, and you certainly did that tonight. You played the patient game in the opening stint that paid off.
Yeah, the opening stint was pretty cruisy. We were about a litre short of making the halfway line. We knew no one else could run the one stop, so we just pushed on from there. After that second stop, I got to turn 1 and my wheel disconnected and wouldn't reconnect, so I was driving the rest of the race one-handed, changing gears with the keyboard. That was fun.
Oh, geez. So it wasn't as easy as it looked, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, just like the last couple of weeks, the wheel kept disconnecting randomly. On the odd occasion tonight, it was just like every second corner it was doing it, and then it just turned off and then come back on. So luckily I had bound the shift up gear and down gear to the keyboard as a secondary option.
Right, so in other words, there's some mechanical upgrades of the tech variety that might be required in the Dench stable at some point in the not too distant future. And watch out when he's back to his 100% normal setup, ladies and gentlemen, if that's what he can do with a slightly compromised get up. Mate, brilliant performance tonight. I mean, we're not surprised in the slightest. You got one more lap than everybody on that opening stint, and that really set it up, especially on a circuit this long.
Yeah, like I was only like literally one litre short of going the extra lap beyond that. So yeah, it was pretty cruisy, just following the guys along, and yeah, it's really good.
And the other thing as well, mate, obviously I was a little bit surprised, but I probably shouldn't have been, that you ran an extremely short second stint. But on that note, I guess obviously it was a 7-lap stint and an 8-lap run home. How short were you on juice? How close to empty were you when you crossed the line and took the checkered flag?
I had like 0.7 of a litre, so I just did 25 in the first stop and then it was 26 in the second stop.
There you go. He's giving away subtle little hints now to everybody because the horse is bolted and the race has been run. Now, let's attack the other side of this. John's been talking about tyre wear. How do you find that, please?
Well, like in the second stint, the tyres were really good. I started setting good laps, and then yeah, just in that second stint, like my lap times went to crap there, but that was just because I was trying to drive the car one-handed. So.
Yes, indeed. Now we're halfway through the season. 4 of the 5 rounds you've attended, you've absolutely smashed it out of the park. What are you looking forward to with regards to the rest of the campaign, mate?
Honestly, I haven't even looked at what's left on the calendar, but you know,
I guess I should bloody well do that for you then, shouldn't I? Next week, Circuit Gilles Villeneuve for sprint racing, ladies and gentlemen. That will be well worth the price of admission on August 17. No doubt about that. The following week, we're off to Legacy Silverstone for a 40-minute sprint. And then on to everybody's favourite for not deploying a safety car, Suzuka. And that will be 40 minutes as well. Then we get stuck into Spa for 60 minutes in week 9. And that'll be Thursday, September 7. And then the following week, we wrap it up with the grand finale, September 14, Phillip Island, and a 3-sprint race format. So there's some really good circuits there, Denji.
Yeah, the rest of the lineup looks pretty good. So yeah, I'm just really hoping that this new USB cable turns up for Monday. Otherwise, I'll be skipping that one, I think.
Yeah. Fair enough. In saying all of that, though, then we've got to be mindful of the remaining 4 rounds of the season and making every post a winner there to put another championship on the board. Hard luck for your opponents around you tonight, mate, but that certainly helps your cause.
Yeah, it definitely does. You know, yeah, we'll just sort of take him where we can get him, I think.
And obviously the reason why you took last week off was to focus on your Friday night engagements. Do you mind bringing us up to speed with how that went, please?
Yeah, that went pretty good. So like I did a bit of testing leading up to the race. Had a pretty quick set. I think I could have give Damon Woods a bit of a battle, but looked at the points and only needed to take home P7 for that race. So we just took a couple of clicks higher on the wing, made the safe nice and safe, and yeah, just cruised home with a couple of P3 for the race and took it much.
Well, congratulations from all of us to you, Matt Dench, on that. Magnificent performance. And we knew things were firing along nicely when you grabbed a win there earlier in the season. And we saw the headline on Speed Cafe, and we were like, hang on, we know the name Dench. No, very nicely done, mate. Congratulations to you. Just again, further extending your dominance of any sim racing circles that you jump into and leagues that you jump into at this point in time. Let me ask you while you're here with regards to your thoughts about Monday night. And obviously we're going, where are we? August 14, Monday night. We're going to Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, onto the historic layout for another 60-minute race in GT3. And that should be a beauty as well. We haven't visited that circuit terribly frequently in GT3 over the years, but it's certainly a good track for racing.
Yeah, it should be a pretty good night. But like I said, like if this USB cable doesn't turn up, I'm not going to attend that and try and drive a McLaren one-handed for an hour around there. So.
Okay, so it's not. So it's a maybe not at this stage. But in saying all of that, are you liking the McLaren? I mean, we're halfway through the campaign now. The statistics should speak for themselves, but you don't always like every car you drive, do you?
The McLaren is that. I do have a soft spot for it, but it is very, very different to drive compared to pretty much all the other GT3s. You need to be very gentle and careful, and yeah, if you try to be too aggressive, she bites you pretty quick.
All right, very nicely done. Interesting to note, I'm just having a look right at the screen here and watching Channel 9's coverage of the footy. And they're talking about Paul Gallen's best top 5 premiership teams of the last, however many years. Funnily enough, he put his 2016 Cronulla Sharks team on top. What a surprise. No sign of any bias there whatsoever. But no interstate team got a mention either. So I guess he's a one-eyed blue all along. Now, if you're just joining us, it was 24-12 in favour of Penrith over Manly. Thursday night football on the Wide World of Sports. Matt, thank you. Before I let you two go and go to Joe Baldwin, Daniel, have you got anything to throw at the two winners here tonight, the top two?
No, mate. No, you've covered everything. I just again.
Have I?
Fantastic. It was a fantastic race to watch, and yeah, just watching Matt do his thing is for me is just incredible. Just the strategic mind at play.
100%. He'll be looking to trump the competition again next week, provided that USB cable gets there in time. Fingers crossed. I must admit, there was some. We had a couple of freight parcels delivered here earlier in the week. I won't go into details, but we had a friend in town and they needed something delivered in a hurry. And thankfully, by going with Amazon, not Australia Post, everything worked out just nicely and arrived on time as scheduled. So. No, well done to Amazon, 10 points there. But that might be an idea for you, Denchi, in the future if you need swift and prompt service from courier types. Maybe Amazon Prime might be able to help you out.
Yeah, you couldn't actually get the cable from Australia, so it's coming from the States. And,
okay. Well, we'll see you next year then.
Thrown it on a plane and order two just in case. So.
Good boy. All right, very nicely done. Well done to you. Well done, John Merritt. Hey, John, don't be a stranger. Great to have you back. Obviously, time poor at the moment, but always good to see you pick up exactly where you leave off, mate, and be competitive every time you jump back in the rig. So thanks for coming along.
Good to be back, mate, and pleasure to catch up. And Denchi, I think he's jumped off.
He's just gone.
I'll sort him out a USB cable, a special one, just to help us all out.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. In return, free coaching. No, I like it. Well done, John. Thanks, mate. Well done. Hopefully we'll have some Formula V back here at some point and you can come and have another dabble in that.
Yeah, for sure, mate. Love it. Thank you.
All right, mate. Thank you. All the best. Joe Baldwin, running under his name, unlike on the YouTube comments earlier in the piece. Good to have you on board, my friend.
An imposter. That actually wasn't me.
It certainly was. The racing went well tonight, mate. Obviously, you didn't get out there in the Aston. You are a fan of that car. It would have been nice to see you out there just for the sake of having another person to talk about. But in saying that as well, mate, that allowed you to focus on the Porsche. Road America Porsches, great combination. It became a little bit stale at the back end there as everybody had spread out so that there were no real battles unfolding. But for you, a clean run, a smooth run, and with Aidan Schultz dropping out and a couple of other things falling into place for you, you brought it home third in class again. Well done.
Yeah, look, it was fairly unremarkable from my end. I was just trying to hang on to the back of Paul Wilson and Adam early on in the piece, and I dropped the wheel off actually down through here, this left-hander at the bottom of the hill. I think it was about lap 3, and I grabbed an off track on the inside and I lost the draft, and yeah, just then concentrated on saving fuel and looking after the tyres, which actually worked out well. So I set my fastest lap on about the second or third last lap, so I was happy to actually get a bit of pace at the end, but just unremarkable really. I only had 4 off tracks, which was a change for me with the Porsche, so. It's a good result. Just capitalised on Steve Gallagher probably wasn't as fast as what he normally is, and we had a good battle in the middle stint. But other than that, just brought it home safe and straight.
Indeed, and that's what you got to do to rack up those consistent points hauls, rather, mates. The second half of the season, I read through the calendar there with Denchi and John Merritt a few moments ago. We have got some cracking racing ahead and some cracking venues to go with it.
Yeah, it's I wasn't actually listening at the time, but I think I heard you say there was Circuit Villeneuve.
Yep.
And in the Porsche, that's an awesome track. I actually enjoy getting this car around there. Actually, just about any car. It's a real drive circuit. I'm not saying I'm a driver, I'm just whatever, but I do a racing there. And Legacy Silverstone, that's going to be a different one. We don't go there a lot, which is
no.
So, which is good, but it's got its own challenges, and I think where else? Suzuka. I think I'm in hospital that day.
No.
So, well, actually, to actually be honest, the Silverstone race I probably won't be at. I've actually got a surgery on the Wednesday of that week, so I don't know how I'll pull up from that. But if I can, I'll be here. But yeah, I'm still enjoying it. It's like I say, you learn a lot by driving this car and learning 100%. To not lock brakes and that sort of stuff. So I'll continue to do what I can to keep the numbers up, I guess.
And keep the so-and-sos honest, as they say in the classics as well. Hey, good luck with the surgery. Hope all that goes well. We've had a few members go, including yours truly, go in and out of hospital in previous times. So we are showing some battle scars, the war of the walking wounded, but hopefully it all goes well, mates. Now, you mentioned last week we didn't get to talk to you about Mountain Men. Talk to us about Mountain Men, because we know you're still heavily involved there. How's that all been going so far?
That's actually been going great. We've branched out a little bit and started putting it in open servers on a Saturday night to try and, as a bit of a recruitment type race, get some guys that haven't raced with us before in. And we had the Legacy Supercars last Saturday night, and we had 42 guys in the server, which was amazing. And I mean, we lost a few guys, but we just told them what we wanted and expected clean racing. That's exactly what we got. So it's been a good initiative just to try and help grow the club a little bit and get some new faces in there. So we'll continue to do that. I think we're having a week off this weekend, but if I go, I'll have a look. I think F4 was the last one. Sorry, I'm just trying to look here now what the next race is.
It'll be Mustang.
The Mustang, yes, FR 500.
Mustang 500, yep.
That'll be the next round, and that's on. What's it? No, that is this weekend.
That's on the 12th. Sorry? That's on the Saturday. Yep.
That's this Saturday. So the FR 500 this weekend, and the weekend after we've got the GTEs are coming back for a run on the Saturday night. So, and anybody who's actually raced those know they're like a GT3 on steroids, I guess you'd say. They're a lot of fun to drive, so we'll get them up there with open sets for the GTE, because it's a bit hard to try and equalise the setups in those. So, yeah, that'll be a bit of fun for the Saturday nights.
Indeed it will be. All right, mates, thank you very much for that. Looking forward to seeing what you bring to the table next week at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, and hopefully Monday night in the GT4s as well.
That'll be great. Hopefully I can keep the car, bring it home as straight as I did tonight, so... So right. That's the aim, just bring it home straight, and just there's in the Open Cup there. I noticed it's very tight between myself and Stephen, so I've got to race nice and clean.
Indeed, actually, that's a good point. We should have some updated championship standings now, thanks to Adam Lavis crunching the numbers for us. Paul Wilson sits on 343 points, Adam Lavis 271, and Joe Baldwin 208, just ahead of Stephen Gallagher 207. Greg Padgett 165. In the open split, Matty Dench with that win tonight, straight back to the top of the summit. He didn't drop out of P1 for terribly long. What a surprise. Samuel Sprouse second, only 7 points the margin, 287 plays 280. Jeff Adams 223, Guy Leach 203, and Corey Lazarus 201. And that's going to do us for Thursday night. Good stuff. Hey, thanks for hanging in there, folks. I must admit, I do apologise. I'm a little bit worn out today. Didn't sleep well last night. Was on the phone with a friend in the wee small hours who needed a talk, and I'm always happy to answer the phone for near and dear. So I don't make any apologies for that, but it's at the end of the day, it's the old sleep, pattern that is impacted by that, and therefore the energy levels and a few other things as well. So if I've been a bit hit and miss tonight, that should explain that. And the other thing that I want to say off the top here is went to Movie World yesterday. And the first sign I saw, and Joe will appreciate this, the first sign I saw, they said, you shouldn't hop on these rides if you've had any recent injury or surgery or illness. And I was like, the first question I said was define recent. Because at the end of the day, it was 2.5 weeks, and they said, you should be right after 2. But I'm not going to lie, the way they tighten those bloody harnesses around your waist, the old stomach is paying for it a little bit today. So I am off to rest and relax tonight. Here's a look what's coming away on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, with thanks to the following I should point out before we go. Waste Options, Orbix Australia, Blackout Electrical Solutions, Login Systems, Astute Finance, Fisher Door Lawyers and Flash Graphics. There they are, scrolling across the bottom of your screen. And then once Daniel refreshes, we'll go and have a look at the schedule of what's coming your way, and it'll pop across the top, middle and bottom of your screen, and we'll start from left to right, top to bottom for you. And we can tell you that Friday night we get underway with the Formula 3 Wings and Slicks Circuit de Jerez Moto. 2 sprint races there. Race 1, 15 minutes, race 2:25, full reverse grid for that one. That's a non-broadcast affair, but anyone involved in that series, that's where you're off to tomorrow night. Mountain Men in the Mustangs, 32 laps, 8:30 p.m. Again, non-broadcast, but for the mountain run regulars that love having a kick around on a Saturday night, straight after the Matildas game. So have a bite to eat and then jump straight in the rig. Enjoy that. Broadcast Monday night, Willow Springs, the venue for GT4. That will be good. New venue on the server. 25 minutes there, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, followed at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time by another split broadcast. We'll bring you a GT3 Pro race and a GT3 AM race in Waste Options GT3 Monday Night Motorsport from the circuit to Barcelona, Catalunya on the historic configuration. Tuesday night, Mazda MX-5s, and they're coming your way from Circuit TBA, one of our favourites, of course. It'll be a 3-race sprint program there for you from 7:55. Wednesday night, Formula Ford. Brands Hatch the venue. Winton will host the supercars. 3 sprint races for Formula Ford. 1 60-minute race for the supercars around Winton. That'll be a snore. With no disrespect to Winton. It is just not probably the best racetrack for those cars. But anyway, Thursday broadcast race. Mazda MX-5s for the production cars. Yes, we're back to the start of the cycle there. Another 5 rounds of that to go. Willow Springs, the venue also. So we get a dose of that on Monday and Thursday. Sprint racing, the order of the day. Then we get stuck into, actually it's sprint racing according to my schedule, Daniel, next Thursday night for the Porsches from Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, 8:45 Eastern Standard Time for that. Daniel and I will be with you. Adam Lavis will be with me on Monday night. So too Liam Banks. Looking forward to all that and more on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Very, very excited about what's coming up, particularly those 2 trips to Willow Springs. And obviously the sprint racing that we've got coming your way next week. Now, actually, that's a good point. We can't have GT3 Pro and AM next Monday night because we've only got the 1 60-minute race. So that'll be one or the other, and I'll wait for clarification from Adam Lavis on that. I didn't even read that correctly on that one, but yes, we do have sprint racing for the Porsches next week with thanks to Blackout Electrical Solutions. So a big thanks to everybody that's getting on board with the sponsorship of the club, making the broadcast happen. GSRC's .myshopify.com is where you go for any merch. We're doing the AM split the next 2 weeks. Thank you, Adam Lavis, for that. AM split the next 2 weeks. So AM split next week, AM split the week after. It is the start of the second half of the season. Yes, we're already halfway through term 3, folks. 5 weeks down, 5 weeks to go. Looking forward to the back half of the season immensely as we count down to September 14 and our last broadcast night of term 3. But yes, so just to clarify, GT3 AM next week, sprint racing in Montreal, Canada. The only 2 corrections that I need to run there for you. But no, that is the full suite of events of what's coming up and coming your way. I'm looking forward to that immensely. Good luck to the Matildas on Saturday. Good luck to those of you having a punt, having a bet throughout the course of the weekend. Good luck to Scott McLaughlin and Scott Dixon and Will Power, Shane Van Gisbergen and Brody Kostecki at Indianapolis and NASCAR and also IndyCar respectively. And good luck to everyone competing in the Speed Series at Queensland Raceway this weekend. I'm heading out there tomorrow. A good suite of categories up here for the last of the national events for the season at the Paperclip. Some good racing there last weekend as well. Yeah, that's just about it, I think. I think we've ticked all the boxes and covered it off on a Thursday night, as we so often do. Hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks for coming along for the ride. Chris Whitaker cleaned up in the production cars, Matty Dench in the Porsches, and well done to Paul Wilson on winning the open split there as well. We've had fun. We hope you have too. We look forward to doing it all again when Week 6 gets underway on Monday night. Orbic Australia, GT4 Challenge and GT3 for waste options, of course, as we go to Willow Springs and the circuit at Barcelona, Catalunya. I think I'm done. GSRC.myshopify.com is where you need to go for merchandise and to sign up to the club to get involved. And the club's also looking for expressions of interest for committee positions for the upcoming AGM as well. So I needed to get that in too. And we're still a few weeks away from the next round of the GSRC GT3 and Hypercar Endurance Championship too. So keep an eye across all of that. Thanks for your company tonight. Road America dished up the goods. Magny-Core not so much. Hopefully some numbers return to the grid for the production cars in the weeks ahead. Halfway through the season. Geez, it's absolutely flown by, probably because I've only been here for half of it. On behalf of Daniel and the rest of the crew here on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, that's Thursday Night Motorsport done and dusted. I'm Zach Caban. Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye for now.